Good evening. I would like to call the April 14th board meeting to order and ask that you join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. And now would you please rise and join in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And now I will read our mission statement. The Waterloo Schools will set the standard for urban education by ensuring that every student is given the comprehensive support and diverse experiences needed to graduate with a diploma and a plan. The first item on our agenda is the public hearing for sale or disposal of real property, the Castle Hill Building. In accordance with Section 297.22 of the Iowa Code, a public hearing is required if the Board of Education of a school corporation proposes consideration of sale or disposal of real property that is school district property. A public hearing provides so that any and all interested persons may appear and file objections to said proposed sale or disposal of surplus real property. Can I get a motion to, so we'll open the hearing for the disposal of real property of the Castle Hill site building. So anybody that would like to talk or speak on the Castle Hill disposal of real property can come to the microphone and start by stating your name and address. Going once, going twice. All right, seeing none, can I get a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second?
And this requires a roll call vote. So Director Mills,
Aye.
Director Knight,
Aye.
Director Schmidt,
Aye.
Director Ewing,
Aye.
chair votes aye, motion carried. That concludes the public hearing. The next item on our agenda is for information only. It is a school presentation from Kittrell Elementary School. Throughout the 2024-2025 school year, we will continue to learn from building leadership teams about the great things that are happening in their buildings. Tonight we have Principal Cassandra Hart and the Kittrell Elementary School students, and they'll be talking about the Leader in Me clubs and jobs. Can you make sure the green light is on once you step to the microphone?
Good evening. I am Cassandra Hart. I am principal of the great Kittrell Elementary, and we have 6 out of 11 of our student lighthouse members, and I am going to let them introduce themselves.
I'm Max in 3rd grade. I'm Anton in 5th grade. I'm Bea in 3rd grade. I'm Maria in 5th grade.
I'm Jackson in 4th grade. I'm Kingsley in 5th grade.
Hey, we have a video for you to watch about Leader and Me.
Put my glasses on. When you get old.
Hi, my name is Sophia and I'm a 4th grader at Kittrell Elementary School, the best school ever. This year we have a new principal, Mrs. Hart, and our school theme is Green Starts Here. That means we believe every student has the power to be green and all sorts of us right here at Kittrell. We are a leader in this school, which helps us become leaders by using the 7 habits. It teaches us how to be responsible, work with others, and believe in ourselves. At Kittrell, we learn, lead, and shine every day. Take a look at some other parts of greatness that we want to highlight. Hello, my name is Max.
Hello, my name is Anton, and we're part of the Lego Club.
I like Lego Club because we have the opportunity to create whatever we want.
You might get to take it home, and that's really cool.
Hi, my name is Elise. I'm going with the Adam Gloves. I like Adam Club because Vicky plays our favorite anime character on our Chromebooks. Hi, my name is Kai, and I'm also part of the anime club because we get to add details and sketch our favorite anime characters. Hi, my name is Miriam. I'm here to talk about the mail delivery service. Our mail delivery service is more like an actual post office. Teachers and students write to each other and they get delivered by a mail delivery service. This job is important as you have to make sure the book gets to the right address or classroom. Hi, my name is Bella, and at Kittrell we also use S2 Math. It's a cool game platform that helps us tackle math problems. We get to hang out with a family named Gigi, who helps us figure out things by trying different stuff and solving problems. Plus, everyone gets their own unique experience. Hi, my name is Madeline. I'm here to talk about the greeters. As a greeter, we get to welcome all the students into the building each and every day. Our goal as a greeter is to put a smile on everyone's faces and to start everyone's day out on a positive point and to show their worth.
Hi everyone, my name is Kingsley and I'm part of the Kittrell newscast team, KCNC. Our newscast team is a part of Leader and me, and our goal is to keep all students and staff informed about what's happening here at Kittrell. We are proud to be student leaders and use our voices to share important information each day. Here are some things we do on the news. We start by telling everyone what's happening for the day, and so you know what to expect. We lead the Pledge of Allegiance in the Kittrell Elementary School Pledge so we can start our day strong. We celebrate birthdays with shout-outs to our Kittrell friends. We share the lunch menu and let you know what special we're going to have. We give you a quick update on what teachers are about and who the subs are. Of course, we include a little joke of the day to make you smile. Being a part of the newscast helps us show leadership, practice responsibility, and build community. Here's a small clip of our show. Enjoy.
Happy Saturday and welcome to Research Live. On today's edition of KCNC, we will celebrate some birthdays. I'm not so much many and what to expect for the weather today. First of all, here in the studio are some pledge covers from Miss Richard's class. To lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance and the Kittrell Elementary School Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, I believe myself, my ability and best at all times. I will not myself, God be to you. I will always make our test with the best way. Once you're making many cool dolls for me, and alternate little piece of snack ball. Have a great one, Kittrell, and be so much on my sweeties. To make the show special reports. Today is D-Day for specials. In art with 5th grade are variations and integral landscapes, 1 point perspective towns and cityscapes, while kindergarten, 1st grade, and 2nd grade are working on holiday art. In gym, 3rd through 5th grade will start a volleyball unit. Kindergarten through 2nd grade will be starting SC. I'm going with the teacher for today in the living room. Miss William is out today. Miss Stewart is out. Miss Mickey is 7 for her. Miss Dodge is out. Miss Williams and Muir is 7 for her. And Miss Burke is out. And Miss Phillips is 7 for her. Hey teacher, I have a question for you. What bow can't be tied? I don't know what. A rainbow. I'm Ellie, and I'm a newscaster. I'm dealing with teacher announcements. I'm thinking with the announcements. I chose a new reporter. I'm Heidi Mountain. I'm Sheila. I'm a specialist. I'm a journalist. I'm Edwin, and I'm an equipment technician. I'm an equipment technician. Happy birthday to you.
So as you can see, this small glimpse of all the greatness at Kittrell. So if you want to know more about what happens day to day, be sure to watch on newscasting at KCMC.
Questions? Yep. Ask if they got any questions for us. Yep. You can ask if they got any questions.
Do you have any questions? Thank you for your time watching our video, and we really appreciate what you do here around the community.
So wait, who decided what you wanted to do? Like, what made you decide what jobs you wanted to do, or if you're on the news team? Like, how'd you come up with what you wanted to do?
Well, we kind of decided, like, based on what we did. So, like, those two did Legos, so we did Legos. You did cheerleading? You did ST Math, because almost everyone does ST Math, but she's probably the most good at explaining it. You did, she did mail delivery, which she is pretty good at, and, oh yeah. And I did KCNC because I'm part of KCNC and all that, yeah.
So how much time do you spend preparing for the news?
I would say around 15 minutes.
Immediately before?
Well, first everyone has to get there, and then we set up the lights. We have to turn on the sound and all that, and then we start. So I would say at least 15 minutes, and then.
Do you guys like write part of what you're going to say, or how do you decide what you're going to say?
We wrote it down, and then we typed it, printed it, and then we knew what we were going to say during the video.
Do you do that morning, or do you do it before?
In the afternoon when it was almost time to leave.
Have anyone been to the digital media stuff over at Career Center yet to see?
Huh?
That might be a nice little field trip for them. See kind of in action what they may take when they're a little older there.
So Anime Club, who's Anime Club?
Yeah.
They're not here today.
Oh, okay.
So we heard of a couple of cool clubs that you have. How do you determine what clubs and organizations you have in your school? Is that student?
Well, first we sent the teachers send out like essay on our Chromebooks where we have to like put down our first option, our second option, third, fourth, and fifth, and then one of the teachers will figure out like which one they would put us in.
So do you rotate?
Every few months we rotate.
Very good.
Is that it?
Excellent.
Are the clubs after school or during school?
During school.
During school, what is it like during like MTSS time?
Yeah, I would say yeah.
Okay. Well, maybe somebody will pop in to come watch some of it sometime. Just a warning.
2:45. 2:45. All right. Do we have any other questions? Great job, Kittrell. Great job.
So much cooler than when I went there.
Right. Right.
Like much more fun.
Digital media thing.
Absolutely.
They could have a bigger vision what it could be.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Jeez. All right, that's going to be hard to follow. Yes, yes. So now we have coming to the microphone Carrie Heiserling, principal of Lowell Elementary, with their school presentation.
Well, good evening. I am Carrie Heinzerling, the principal over at Lowell, and I brought some teammates with me today, so I'm going to let them introduce themselves, and then we'll kind of share with you what we're going to share.
Hello, I'm Mackenzie Ruddy, the Learning Supports Coordinator.
Hello, I am Miss Maria Guzman. I am the school counselor.
So a couple of things that are going super well at Lowell this year are our attendance and some of the work that we have done to decrease some of our majors and minors. And one of the things that we really feel like has made the biggest difference is in relationships with students, relationships with families, just working hard to make sure that people feel a connection, and then wanting them to be at school, and to be able to do their job and make sure that everything is going well. So we're going to talk a little bit about relationships. We're going to talk about how that connects to attendance, and then how we see that also connecting back to the majors and minors that get written for students at times.
So we will start off with relationships. Building a strong relationships with our students create a strong foundation for them to feel engaged, feel seen, feel heard, and then they also feel like they belong in our schools. So at Lowell Elementary, we are focused on the authentic relationships. We are with our students by knowing students' interest, we're consistency, and we also allow them to have a voice and choice at Lowell Elementary. So we can start off with students' interest. Some of the things that we have seen students voice is what they're interested in outside of school. So for example, we have our student here with our Pokemon. So Mr. Benson is a 4th grade teacher, and he teaches math. So he knows that most of his students, if not all of them, really love Pokemon. So he included Pokemon in this game where the students get to finish the problem or solve the problem, and as they keep solving each problem, a picture appears, and it is a Pokemon that he chooses. So students are really engaged to see what kind of Pokemon character pops in the screen. And then we have our 2nd grade teacher, Miss McCarty, and she has allowed students to voice some of their interests of how they would want to be celebrated on finishing some levels for GG, so our ST Math. And then we can go by consistency.
So we know that all kids thrive with consistency. So some things that we have in place to help establish that with staff and students are common language around expectations, no matter the location. So those posters on the left side of the screen are posted in each setting, and again, it's using common language that staff and students can use to provide some consistency. And that is taught multiple times throughout the year. And then on the right is our behavior action plan. I'm not going to go through all of it. We're going to highlight some of it in a second that we're really proud of. But having this behavior plan allows staff and students to know what's going to come if students may be displaying some behaviors. Another way that we're building authentic relationships at Lowell is through having voice and choice. And part of that actually comes in to our behavior action plan. Even when students are having behaviors, we still allow them some voice and choice in kind of what happens in our plan. To set the groundwork, we do, and you can see in the middle, a student proudly displaying his 5 fingers of safety. Maria and I go around with the students and do that activity with everybody at the beginning of the year. And they pick adults that they feel safe with at school. It could be a teacher that goes out to recess with them, a teacher that they've had in the past, or even just somebody who says good morning to them. Just somebody that they feel connected with. In that, part of our behavior plan is cougar chats. So a cougar chat is a little slip of paper, and it says, I, student name, need to refresh and chat. Can you talk with me about the behavior they might be displaying? After this, I will make better decisions and work hard. I'm a leader, I'm smart, and I can make good decisions. So we allow students, when displaying these behaviors, to go to a safe person that they chose at the beginning of the year. And you can see one happening right there in the middle. Oftentimes we find on these Cougar Chats, teachers will send back notes to the teacher that has the student in class with either some reasons that the student expressed to them of why they may be having a hard time in class today. You can see the one student said he was feeling mad and sad because dad was rushing him to get dressed this morning, so he was still upset about that. Other times we see teachers, when kids go on Cougar Chats, co-creating like a plan for when they go back to class. So just allowing them this voice and choice in this part of our days. And then we also try and incorporate voice and choice whenever we can. This is a particular student who he started the beginning of the year, the FAST test. He had 18 words in a minute, but has since grown to 100 words a minute, which is amazing. And we think part of that is the relationships that he has built with staff, that he gets to go off and pick teachers that he wants to show and just be celebrated.
All right, so we get to share some pretty cool attendance data with you all. So one of the things, just greeting students when they come in obviously makes it so they want to be here. And so one of our student leadership roles is also being morning greeters. So you can see Lincoln here high-fiving the kiddos as they come by. But the great information comes from our attendance team. So a couple of things that we've done this year. The good news card we sent out in December to any student that was chronically absent last year, that at the time was no longer chronically absent, and we just said, hey, thank you so much for getting your kiddo to school, like we really appreciate it. We also focused on attendance at our first family night, again, just to ensure that parents understand what chronically absent means and what it means like when they bring their kiddos to school. We can't teach them if they're not there. And finally, this last picture is of one of our attendance celebrations, the one from February. We try to like, we love your attendance. We try to include, something snazzy with that and do something fun every month for our students that are here every day. So because of a lot of those things, we are actually down by 11.59 percentage points on our chronic absenteeism. Like, that's awesome. We're like one of just a few schools that are down in the double digits, and we are super proud of that, and that doesn't happen by accident. It happens because we're taking very specific steps to move in that direction. We have 4 students that have not a lick of anything on their attendance this year, so super proud of them. We have talked with their parents and just said thank you, and the hard part is, let me finish this. So then our average daily attendance is also up by 2.12 percentage points, which is super awesome as well. So one of the things that we talked about was, we keep track of all of our students who were chronically absent last year, just to try to make sure they're not going back to chronically absent. And so one of the things we wanted to find out was why, what's making the difference? Why were they chronically absent last year and not this year? So I had some conversations with some students, had some conversations with some parents, to see if it was something, what is it? Is there something specific we're doing that we need to continue to do? Unfortunately, the answer that I got almost every single time was, I'm just not sick this year, which that's great, right? But it's hard to replicate that. And even in talking to parents, I would say overall, we got that same message back, that it wasn't necessarily something like, it wasn't about relationships or about what we were doing at school, but about sickness. And so it's hard to replicate that. I still think that it's a lot about the relationships also, and a lot about teachers making sure students want to be at school and want to be learning. That just isn't necessarily what we're hearing from those particular students and parents. So, and I know that sickness has something to do with it, right? We don't want your kids at school if they're sick. We just want them there every day that they can be. And then this document is our average daily attendance. So we have a cupcake that we hand out once a month to the class that has the highest average daily attendance. And so they get that at the end of the month, and then we get cupcakes and they get to have those at lunch. So it is a big deal. The kids love finding out who's getting the cupcakes. It's gone back and forth between 5th and 1st grade these last several months. So I keep telling them we'll see who gets the big prize in the end. And so we'll see what what happens with that. But I do think that we have done a great job of just building in different things to make sure all of our students are wanting to be there. And so Maria's going to tell you just a little bit about some other things.
Yeah, so some data and trends that we are seeing. We're seeing our kindergartens be the lowest in our building with attendance. So we as attendance team have created some fun activities for them to engage in, such as it's kind of like a raffle, right? So Ms. Heinzerling will pick out a number or a name, I should say, and that student, if they have been, or if they're there when the announcement goes on, they come and get a prize of their choice. We've also have individual students tracking each of their attendance. So each morning, each student gets their binder. They are able to track if they are there each day. Some teachers have classroom prizes for our students. So if they get a certain percentage of attendance through their students, they get to choose what kind of prize. And then we also have some students that really connect with maybe a family member or a staff and say, for example, our student here, he says that his aunt Dorothy plays a large role in his attendance and success of being in school. Dorothy works with us at Lowell Elementary. And again, like Ms. Heinzerling was talking about, how that relationship piece is a key. And then also tracking weekly attendance and earning treats. Again, our students are very excited to earn those things if they're here every week as well. So it varies from teacher to teacher as well.
You're on there. I can do that. All right, so we have classroom incentives, which are in this particular classroom. Miss Rolfe has a picture of her a Chromebook, and every day that they have over a certain percentage of students at school, they get to add a piece, and then once the whole Chromebook's put together, they get a little bit of free technology time. Other teachers have done like pie graphs, and then they earn like ice cream sundaes. So every teacher does something a little different for the classroom. We also have a grade level incentive. Fifth grade, they do have a vivid imagination, and I'm talking about the teachers. They have unicorns and dinosaurs and velociraptors, and the velociraptors eat the balloons. But anyway, you get the point. If they have a balloon left at the end of the week, then they get an extra recess on Friday. If as a grade level they're working together to meet that attendance goal. And then of course we have our building-wide attendance parties. And in this particular one, we had a balloon guy come for all of those students, and they all got to leave with a balloon creation. So the kids love all the different things that we do for incentives, and you know, those are part of what's making a difference for them, and so hopefully we'll continue to do those things into the future as well.
So another part of our school that we feel like our authentic relationships are impacting is our behavior data. We really resonate with this quote up here. It says, "When we teach kids how to regulate behavior instead of just punishing it, we build better humans." And we just feel like that's our building culture around behavior. So in the next couple slides, you'll see some things that we're doing around this quote to actually live it in our building. So the Waterloo Schools Matrix came out, I think, 2-ish years ago. This last year, we actually took it a step further, and for the staff-handled consequences, we created a column where we came up with some ideas that are outside of just punishment, like taking away recess or missing out on free time, that really fit the consequence rather than making it a punishment, to really just help our students grow from their behaviors. So you can see some of those examples up there. And then I talked about Cougar Chats a little earlier. So Cougar Chats happen before we do any sort of referral. When we provide students with the opportunity to talk to another adult and reflect on the choices that they've made, rather than punish them, this is what the data shows. So This is a chart that shows, did the behavior after the Cougar chat progress to needing a referral? And 95% of the time it doesn't. So giving the student the opportunity to talk about it with a safe person, have those restorative conversations, and then welcome them back into the classroom, we see majority of the time, 95% of the time, that the behavior stops. And a lot of that is due to the authentic relationships that our staff are building with our students.
Another great piece of data is looking at our majors and minors over the year. So obviously we're not done with this year, but as of April 9th, we had 78 majors. Last year, for the whole year, we had 143 and 295 the year before that. So we are super proud of the work that we have done to, again, make sure students, one, are staying in class, right? Because the more they're out of class, the less they're learning, but also then to help it so that the same behaviors aren't happening over and over and over again. Our minors at 348 right now. We could get to that 400 at the end of the year, but working with our Cougar chats and whatnot, we're hoping to still keep that below the 400 that we had last year. So we'll see how the year ends up, but we are very excited about the data and are super happy with where we are right now, especially with our majors. So Love Leads Lowell, that is our hashtag that we use all the time, and we say that because of our relationships. For the rest of the year, we plan on continuing with those relationships, continuing following our behavior plan with the Cougar chats. In attendance for this last big push, we are going to, on the last day of the week, one person from each class will get their name drawn, and if they were there all week, they'll get to come to the office to get a prize. We hope to take some pictures, put that out on Talking Points so that parents, community, see that we're celebrating that. And we just sent a message out on Talking Points over the weekend just in regards to where we are with our attendance right now, and that we just need parents' help to finish strong at the end of the year. We have about 50 kiddos right now, between 7.5% and 12.5% of days absent, so they could tip one way or the other. We're hoping they tip the positive way and not missing that 10% by the end of the year. So, and then as far as majors and minors, we do have a little incentive in place for that. I apologize, I didn't look up exactly what the parameters are, but students get a certain number of squirts out of a water squirter, and teachers volunteer to be a part of that, so they get to squirt the adults if they have, I think it has to be no majors, and then there's like a system, because you can get up to 5 squirts, you can get as few as 0, we hope nobody gets 0, but, and then anywhere between 1 and 5 depending on the number of majors and minors that they have. And then we also get little trophies that are super cute that students get to take home if they haven't had any majors or minors all year, and we call that the major behavior trophy, so that's super fun. Connection is why we're here. It's what gives us purpose. I don't think any of us would have our jobs if we didn't believe that connections and relationships were the most important piece. So there's our staff all ready to connect with students, and it is pretty awesome to see who students pick as their Cougar chat people. We have 5th graders going to kindergarten. We have, 3rd graders going to a specialist. Like our entire building, our custodians, our secretaries, everybody is involved in that, and students get to pick who those people are. And I do think that that says something about our entire building and our whole staff just being willing to be a part of that. So Love Leads Lowell every single day, and we're going to continue that work for the rest of the year and into next year. So any questions, comments, suggestions for us?
Do you expect the increased attendance to improve your proficiency score? And when are the spring tests?
So we actually are working on our ISASS tests now. Is that what you're okay, yeah. So we're working on them now. We have till April 25th, I think, to completely finish. We are actually almost done, so once those scores start rolling in, we'll know for sure. And I do think kids being at school makes a huge difference in how they do. So hopefully we see that connection between, students being there and their proficiency on ISASS. We're definitely seeing that in their growth on FAST. We haven't gotten quite to the percent of proficiency we want on FAST, but we do have a very high percent of students making expected and accelerated growth. I can only speak right now from fall to winter. And so we have seen an increase just in growth on FAST and expect to see that to the end of the year as well. And I do think it's partially because of attendance, for sure.
When will we know those? When do we get those scores?
So we have some results back right now, but we're hoping by May that we should be able to get in and look at them and then have some data reflection on that and some results.
Okay, my other question concerns about, say students have a bad day.
Yeah.
What's the criteria for recommending them to go to this safe person? And if everybody in the school, how timely is that? Because, you know, if it's another teacher and they're teaching, how does all that work?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, so Cougar Chats, let me start over, sorry. A Cougar Chat can either be student initiated or it can be teacher initiated. So if a student is just having a bad day and they're like, I just really need to go talk to another person, we allow for them to do that. If a teacher is saying, you know, you just aren't quite ready for learning yet, let me get you to one of your safe people so that you can just have a break, have a conversation. And Cougar Chats are 5 to 10 minutes, so we're not taking a ton of time because our ultimate goal is to have them in class every minute of the day. But if we can take 5 or 10 minutes and get them back on track and not waste 30 or 40 minutes with them being dysregulated and, you know, not doing their work, we'll take the 5 or 10 to get back on the other side, the other, 30 minutes back. The teacher, so for example, Miss Coulter, she's one of our kindergarten teachers. She gets quite a few students that come. Miss Coulter, the kids know the process. They come in the room. She'll say, oh, yep, just have a seat at the table. She'll keep on teaching her class. And then once she has her class doing something, she'll sneak over and say, let's chat about this. What's going on today? And have that conversation like you saw in the picture at the table. So our goal is to not disrupt learning of other students either, right? Because we don't want Miss Coulter to stop her teaching to do that. But if she's at a point where kids are working independently and then she can have a quick conversation with that student, it has worked so far pretty well. And we have definitely seen an increase in, students being in the classroom. So we appreciate the teachers and the custodians and the paras, everybody just like being able to pull some students that way. So.
And then finally, if a student is disruptive, what's the escalation process to make sure they don't continue to be disruptive in that classroom? Do you remove them for the day or the week or whatever?
Probably not for the week. So if we ever remove a student for the day, like that would be in school suspension. We only use that pretty sparingly. But if a student goes on a Cougar Chat and they come back and they are still disruptive in the classroom, we do what's called a flipped Cougar Chat. So the teacher will, because we tell students, like, when you go on your Cougar Chat, the goal is for you to get back on track. So when you come back to class, you are ready to go. So if they come back to class and they're displaying the same behavior within, a few minutes of getting back to class, then that teacher is able to flip the Cougar Chat to the back, and then that student goes to our behavior interventionist, and then spends some time in there with her. That is more of a consequence, I guess, or I don't want to say that's a punishment either, but Miss McDonald, she's been around a very long time, and she does a fantastic job. Students usually, her protocol is for them to go in, sit quietly with their head down for a bit, and then she has a conversation with them, and kind of depending on what happens, she either sends them back to class, or if needed, she maybe keeps them a little bit longer, but we work really hard to get them back to class as quickly as we can, but also we don't want them disrupting the entire class either, so if we need to keep them longer, we certainly do. And then if a student comes to us on a flipped Cougar Chat or on a minor, it is the classroom teacher's responsibility then to also make sure that they're calling the parent to let them know what's happening so that that doesn't continue to happen if at all possible.
Do you have a lot of mobility? How do you bring new students up to?
That's it, yeah. So we actually have a team of students that is part of one of our leadership roles is to do the tour of the building and then to start talking with them through some of those processes. Otherwise, between the three of us and Miss Lay, who's also here, but didn't want to talk tonight, which is fine. We said that's fine. You know, between us, we definitely have conversations with our new kiddos to make sure, one, that they're picking their safe people. And a lot of times our new students don't know all the teachers. So sometimes they're asking their buddy, like, hey, who did you pick for a Cougar Chat? But, and we let them switch them up too if they need to. Some students keep the same Cougar Chat people all year. Some people are like, I don't want to be with, this person. And we let them switch it up from time to time. But definitely, try to make sure that they have the people they want on their list.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any others?
Carrie, I just want to give you and your team a lot of credit here. Board, I shared the most recent chronic absenteeism numbers with you just a moment ago. Last year at the same time, Lowell was at about 29% chronic absenteeism, and they've dipped. This is as of March 31st, I believe, is what I have. They've dipped all the way down to 17%. To put things in perspective, and you're like, there's always like, we could, lots of questions. What can we do better? We looked at some chronic absenteeism data this morning, and for low-income buildings, which is where I would, you guys are 85% free and reduced, low-income buildings across the country is about 40% chronic absenteeism. 40% chronic absenteeism across the country for low-income schools. So I just want to give you guys a round of applause here for the work that you're doing. A lot of times it's just, we have the local, we look at, versus the state versus, but really the work that you're doing with the population you serve, which again is a very diverse student population, a very large number of students who, come from, migrant families and so forth. Just the work that you're doing to make that big of a jump needs to be recognized. So thank you guys very much for your work on that.
And it's definitely a team effort all the way around. So thank you. I appreciate that.
And I'm just a couple notes here. The one, you're working with relationships. I think it's huge. I mean, it's, kids, they've learned to build relationships now. That carries forward as something, a skill they'll need throughout life. I mean, that's, in the end, relationships matter. Building good relationships will help, people just bridge where they need to. And I kind of agree with you. I don't, when you said it's kind of surprising that people said sickness was more, and I'm like, it's been, we had a rough winter.
Yeah.
We had a few things going on, but I mean, the thing is like, that's still in reason compared to last year. So I think there probably is something more there. Maybe it's just desire to be there.
Parents might be embarrassed to say, exactly why, and might not be, good self-reporters, so.
Yeah, true.
Or like
That's
what
fair.
level of sickness we're talking about,
Right, and that changes, yeah.
And then you're interested in your data on behaviors. Because I was looking at, really appreciate bringing data there and showing, and you were talking about, the increase, the minors who are a little bit high up, but it makes me wonder, looking at the data, is the huge decrease in majors. Maybe some of those are shifting to minors instead, which you may have more, but it may be a result of decreasing the majors getting there. So, keep the majors down, you can live with a few more minors, then you work on the minors from there. So it may just be, transitional that, this year the kids that maybe were doing majors last year are transitioned to minors, and next year maybe fewer. So, yeah. So it just maybe a transitional. Maybe next year you'll see like a trend in that. So,
I just love your shift in thinking, because it's not tolerating behaviors. It's identifying what's a big deal versus what is something that we can resolve. Do you have like specified behavior? Like, do you have like lists of what you consider? Is it more by teacher, how they decide what to do?
So that's one of the things that we are trying to be super consistent with, and that's why, so the major minor matrix is something that is a district major minor matrix, so
Okay.
it should technically be, whether, it doesn't matter if you're at Lowell or Orange or West or whatever, if it's a major in one building, it should be a major in all buildings, so that we're not writing up more students than somebody else or that kind of thing. So the majors are broken out, the minors are broken out. The only thing we did differently went in and for the minors, because if it's a minor, that means the teacher or the staff member is providing the consequence. And a lot of times we were just hearing, oh, they're gonna, recess, and it's like, okay, but there's more than that can happen. And we don't always wanna take recess away. Kids need recess.
I was gonna
right?
say that might escalate more than
Exactly,
prevent.
because they don't get out there. So what we did is just went in and used the same district major minor matrix, but went in and added some consequences that would be appropriate for whatever that behavior is. So we did that as a crisis team, and our tier 2 team looked at it, our tier 1 team looked at it, just so that teachers felt like they had they don't often think of, having a conversation with the student, that can be a consequence. Now, whether it works or not, kind of depends on the student. Maybe it won't, maybe it will. A phone call home can be a consequence. Having the student write an apology letter to whomever it is that they hurt or wronged in whatever way. Those can all be consequences. Our ultimate goal is whatever we choose to do as a consequence, we just don't want the behavior to happen again. And so if we can figure out what that is to make it so that it doesn't happen again, awesome. If not, we always take it to the next level the next time if we have to, so.
Well, Ms. Reddy, by the way, I didn't catch what your position was. My notes need to be complete.
Yeah, no, you're good. Some buildings call it the at-risk coordinator, but I believe at Lowell it's called the learning supports coordinator.
Just all in all, this is just very impressive. I've watched over the past few years you grow, Carrie, and then the building grow. And everything that you presented, the attendance and the majors and minors all feed into your authentic relationships. That it's all together. So well done, and thank you for the presentation.
Yeah, I just want to commend you, just piggybacking off of what Director Mills and Director Knight commented on the communication and building those relationships, especially with parents.
Yes,
in elementary buildings, we know these students, and I'm talking in reference to attendance. We know these students are not able to drive or get themselves to the places they need to be in, and the communication that you have and the follow-up you have with parents, especially in a high free reduced lunch building, just having those continued communication with those parents. And I've seen on the screen the one young person stated that his Aunt Dorothy, was the reason why. So it's not just communication with the parent. I'm not sure if it's a guardian or, just somebody that steps in and makes sure that student is in school. But that communication with those families is important. So just want to commend you on that.
Is there any particular characteristic of, I think you said the kindergarten, you were struggling with the average daily attendance? Is there anything unique about?
And that is actually the trend, because we look and compare ourselves with other, across the district. Unfortunately, kindergarten seems to be the grade. I'll be honest, again, just in talking to some parents, what's keeping you from getting your kiddo to school, when we do have those conversations. And a lot of times, again, unfortunately, what we hear is we put our kid into this new environment of new germs, and they're just sick all the time.
Kindergarten's gross.
Yeah, I mean,
it's just gross.
You're not wrong.
So, yeah.
It absolutely is. So, and again, and I do think there's also something to be said about just finding, I think sometimes parents think kindergarten is playing, or it's a lot of playtime and centers, and it's not. It's a ton of learning. And so we do try to, at kindergarten orientation, we share all of those things with our families that attend. And one of the things we've talked about was doing that orientation again in the fall at maybe one of our family nights, specifically with kindergarten parents. Because right now, for our kindergarten, if I remember correctly, we're at 27% of our students in kindergarten chronically absent. So 1 in 4 of our kindergartners is chronically absent. And so if we didn't have all of those friends chronically absent, and they were where the rest of our students were, that number would be even lower for chronically absent that Jared shared. So we know we have some work to do with kindergarten. I think the hard part is figuring out the because we maybe don't have a relationship with those families quite yet, right? Because if they don't have siblings in school, and so how to figure out like how to get in touch with them sooner. And so we've had some ideas, we've had some conversations about what to do next year, like to try to lessen that number of chronic absenteeism in kindergarten. And then also, like, if those kindergartners are moving to first grade, like, we also need to lower that in first grade because we can't have 27% in first grade chronically absent either, so.
I know this year's kindergarten class was the largest it's been in a while.
Yeah.
So, do you have more kids in class? Is that a?
Yeah, so we actually have 4 sections, I think that's what you mean. We have 4 sections of kindergarten right now at Lowell, and we anticipate having 4 again next year. And then moving those 4, so we have 3 first grade, we'll have, if it all moves right, we'll have 4 first grade sections next year. So Lowell is growing, like, you know, in the original plan, we were taking kiddos from Kittrell. We definitely are. We're at like 396 for students right now. We anticipate being at 425, 430 next year. So we'll see what happens.
I think the number of kids that actually reside in your district is closer to 450.
Is it? Okay, well, we're still growing, so we'll take them all, just send them our way.
That's interesting what you said on the kindergarten piece. If I was gonna look at data, like, the 2 things I think I'd look at would be, when you were telling me, it was kind of eye-opening a little bit, but how many kindergartners actually went to pre-K? What correlation there, and are they the first student in their families?
Yeah.
Where the parents aren't used to, like,
Yeah.
because, you know, if they had siblings come through, the parents should be a little bit more in tune to it, but if it's,
Yeah, that's a really good point. And I'm a bit of a data geek, so I love like doing some spreadsheets and finding things out. So I like that idea to just look and see who on that chronically absent list is a first-time student, or, you know, who has siblings. That's a great idea.
yeah, because
I like
maybe at the pre-K, they may only get their
Yeah.
German.
Yeah, that's a good point too.
Well, we thank you for
Yeah.
all that you're doing for our
Thank
students
you.
and families at Lowell, so
Yeah,
great presentation.
thank you. Appreciate you all.
The next item on our agenda is for information only as well. It is the school food market pantries. School food markets pantries have been established in all of our Waterloo Community School District buildings. This project has been supported through grants previously approved by the Board of Education from the Department of Natural Resources and ESSER Homeless Set Aside, along with a private donation which was secured by the Northeast Iowa Food Bank. This evening we have Ms. Sheena Kennedy, Director of Student and At-Risk Services, and a host of others. I won't name everybody. I see Adrian is at the microphone, so I'll let you introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about these food pantries.
Yes, so this is a celebration because this has been a great project that we've done this year. Like you said, we had grants through the DNR. The food bank had secured a private donor, and then we had some ESSER homeless set-aside funds that the state allowed us to spend as well.
Can you put the microphone a little closer to you?
Sure. Is that better? Okay. So it took some time to get this up and going this year, but as of January, we started, and West was the first food pantry in the district, and tons of success from all of the buildings, and I'll let the food bank staff share more of the stories, but we appreciate the board's support as our family support workers and our teams have been able to get these pantries up and going.
And can everyone introduce yourselves when you come up? Just give it a minute.
There we go. Good evening. I'm Barb Prather. I'm the Executive Director of the Northeast Iowa Food Bank, and with me tonight is Abby Turpin, our Director of Marketing and Communications, Shannon Bass, our Director of Programs, and Allison is in the back. She is our Digital Communications Coordinator, and we're really excited to be here to talk about our school market program. That's an enhancement to the program. We've continued to provide the backpack program throughout the school, but this is just another program that will help not only feed the student, but also feed families. In Northeast Iowa, 1 in 6 kids face hunger or are food insecure. That means in every classroom, every lunchroom, and every school event, there are children wondering when they'll eat next. The school market program was created to change that. Since launching in 2019 with the Panther Pantry at UNI, the program has expanded across colleges and K-12 schools throughout our service area, including strong partnerships at Wartburg, Hawkeye Community Colleges at both campuses, Upper Iowa, the Charles City Schools, and many more. Recently, due to a generous donation from Dr. Jitu and Hershita Kathari family, they are the founding sponsors of our school market program. We are able to formalize and expand this initiative across the Waterloo Community School District, reaching all 19 school sites and creating a real measurable difference in the lives of families and kids.
In just the first 3 months of 2025, the program has supported 1,346 visits, 635 households, 1,138 individuals, and we've distributed over 5,300 pounds of food. One standout site is West High. As Adrian noted, they were the first one to get on board. I'm very excited. In January, they did 256 visits, 296 in February, and in March they did 338 visits. That's nearly 900 visits in just 3 months, with a total of 1,218 pounds of food distributed at that one school alone.
Visits, you mean that the kids went there? Is that what a visit? Okay.
Yep. So one household might go 3 times through the month that we cut those visits. These aren't just numbers. These are real kids, real families, and real needs that are being met right here in our community. Angela Johnson is a family support worker at Kittrell Elementary and has seen firsthand the effects of the school market and shared this with us. It's difficult to put into words the look of relief on a student's face when I open the pantry doors and let them shop, or the weight lifted from a child's shoulders when they realize they can take food home for their siblings and parents. Beyond providing food, the market has helped build meaningful connections, especially with our most vulnerable students facing food insecurity. The gratitude they express is profound. The food market is more than just a pantry. It's a lifeline, a source of comfort, and a way to ensure our students and families feel supported. The impact it has on their daily lives cannot be overstated.
We're incredibly thankful to the Kathari family for their generosity, to every school, staff member, and family support worker helping this program grow, and special thanks to Adrienne and her team as well throughout this. Together, we're feeding students, supporting families, and creating lasting change, one school at a time. We want to close with a video that was done by students at one of the schools, at Lou Henry and Kittrell schools, about the school market program.
Sorry, it's a Mac, so I have to hold the mic.
Is your stomach so noisy you can't focus in class? You're hungry by visiting the Kittrell School Market. It's right here in the 3rd or 5th hallway. Well, come on. Hey everyone, have you ever heard about the school market? It's here in the office. The school market is full of food and snacks, and everything is free. Did you hear somebody say free? I know, I heard somebody say snacks. How can I shop at the Lowell market? It's easy, just ask your teacher for a market pass. Bring your market pass to the market and Miss Johnson will help you shop. What's Sigma? Why is there food in my locker? When an adult orders food from the school market, they can pick it up at the school, or they can send it home with their child. Make sure to tell your family about the school market. And if you want to shop, make sure you ask the teachers for a market pass. And if you find a dirty food locker, take it home. Yep. The school market is and it's free.
We we will answer any questions.
On your first slide, the number of visits was only slightly more than the number of people, which would imply that they only came once. What's the time frame? Is it weekly, monthly? What's?
So the 1,346 visits, that was in a 3-month time frame. So it just means it's reaching a lot of different kids. They may only be coming once or twice during that time frame.
Really only once. It was like, the multiplier was like 1.2.
Well, I mean, not every kid is going, right?
Right. This one family who's in high need, they may be coming several times a month, whereas another child may just have gone once just to check it out and hasn't been back. So, yeah.
Is there any criteria that parents have to meet or that the students have to meet, or can they just ask to go? And how does it work with the parents placing orders?
So with the Waterloo School District having such a high free and reduced rate, we were able to make this school district eligible. So it really is, we're trusting and know that most of these families that are coming and utilizing this are in need. So we don't have to drill down into verifying every child. The district as a whole is eligible. And so we really rely on those family support workers and teachers and administrators to be able to distribute to those kids that are in need.
And how does it work for the parents then? I'm sorry. Like, how does that work for parents to do an
That's
order?
dependent on the school, however it works for them. We've been able to, some schools may just have the students come and get it, some have a system for the parents. A lot of times they're having them sign up on a form virtually, a QR codes, things like that. Yep. So the parents can pick up, or they'll send it home with the kid, and they, from the examples I've heard, they have that choice of how it works for the parent.
How do you determine what's in the pantry and what are the most popular items?
So we have an entire warehouse of food. About 1 million pounds in and out every month. So we do have quite a variety. They do choose shelf-stable, nutritious items. We do follow health guidelines to make sure that we're sourcing good, healthy foods. We still have the fun snacks, but in general, we're really trying to focus on those healthier foods. So we have, fruit and vegetable cups. We have complete meals, so they'll be able to microwave a meal when they get home. Or ramen noodles are always very, very popular. There's family meals, there's snacks, something like granola bars they can grab for a quick breakfast, or something they can have before they go play football in the afternoon. So there's quite a variety. And the teachers or the family support workers are able to order from the food bank based on what the students and families need.
So the family support workers in charge of replenishment?
Yep, they're ordered directly from us.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Yep.
I've had the opportunity to see a couple of these pantries. To Lyle's question, what's in there, what's popular, it actually looks like a grocery store. So the variety of items is not just, when you think of the non-perishable, I mean, they literally have food. Like, I've seen, like, turkey and beef and gravy meals, and peanut butter and noodles and fruit. I've seen just about everything.
Yeah.
And it's so neatly, like the picture that you've seen, I know that picture was probably taken when it first was put in place, but every pantry that I've seen looks like that. It literally looks like you're at a grocery store, and the workers have just restocked the items. So just the visibility of it, the look of it, and then how you're able to get the items that you need. They have bulk items. They have everything from juice to like I said, the meals. I would think that they would be frozen meals, but they're not frozen. But they're actually meals that the families can utilize and enjoy. My one question is, where are the majority of these? Because I've only seen 3, I believe. And they're in close proximity. Where are most of these pantries located within the school buildings? Are they in a certain area? Where would they be housed at?
From the ones that I'm aware of, they're frequently in the family support workers' offices or the offices of the main office. I don't know if Adrian can speak.
Yeah, so we had each of the family support workers and administrators kind of tour their building and decide like where would it be most accessible, especially if we're looking at our students accessing it, are we having families access? So each building, it looks a little bit different. Some are right in the very front of the building, some are in the family support office, it just kind of depends on where there was space. Just in a hallway, but everybody knows in the building where it's at, the staff members do, so they're able to kind of guide the individuals there. And a lot of the students are marketing this and letting the other students know where it's at. So I keep bringing up West High, but Nikki, our family support worker there, she has students marketing it, and when students come up, other students are telling them, you need to sign in, you need to, write down what you take so we can weigh in and out, because they have to report the pounds of food, as you saw on the slide. So the other thing that we implemented was sharing tables. So once lunch is done, any of the non-perishable items that are prepackaged, they can gather and they can put those into the pantries or near the pantries as well for kids to take home so that food isn't wasted. We don't have refrigerators or ways to keep food cool yet. The DNR has reached out a couple times and asked if we're ready. We're not there yet, but with the success that we're seeing, we obviously want to see these opportunities grow to support our families.
I got to see the one that's at UNI, and it's, and like looking at these, and the food bank does a good job of this as well. It's an empowering feeling to walk into some place that does look and feel like a grocery store. It builds your self-esteem to that's where you're getting your food from, and that you get to make choices. So the fact that you guys have maintained them, that's how it's been set up. It's not just that there's being food provided. The psychological impact is really important.
Yeah.
How long will there be funding to keep doing this?
That's my question. It's the $1 million question. Unfortunately, food insecurity isn't going away, and we are committed to making sure that this program continues to be funded, but also helping the school raise funds as well at the same time to help keep it funded as well. 80% of our funding comes from private sources, and so we have a whole lot of different ways that we raise that money. But, it's the generosity of the community that makes the food bank run, and this program is a part of that.
I really appreciate the work you're doing. 2025 in the United States of America, we should have no people going hungry, period. And I look at this and I think, I grew up with my grandmother in the rural South. She'd been 100 this year, 1925. She lived through the Great Depression. Now, I never went hungry with her, but she made sure that we didn't waste a single drop of food. And, because she lived through that where she didn't have services like you had now. And, they didn't have this where they could grow, and they weren't growing much in the 30s down there. And so, just thinking, we've come 100 years since then, and, we still have insecurities in a nation that we should not have it. So I appreciate the work you're doing and helping, kids shouldn't go hungry. You kids shouldn't have to worry about where they're going to get their next meal. So, thank you.
And the collaboration with the food bank and with the Waterloo Schools. So just you guys working together to make sure that this is done and it's done correctly. As Director Mills stated, I've had an opportunity to see the DMAC pantry, the Hawkeye pantry. I think those are the two. And this is second to none. This is, it doesn't feel like a handout, if that makes sense. It feels like you're actually shopping at a grocery store when you go in and you see the visibility, the setup, everything is nicely stacked and neat, and the different items you can choose from, so, and it's, every time I've seen them, it's been plentiful. So there's been enough if you wanted to take some home or so it's wonderful coming from a person that utilized this growing up. I wouldn't have felt like, I was less than from receiving these services, just by the look. So I commend you. We appreciate you. Making sure that our students are eating. Because that video that was stated when it first came on, the first thing you heard, I think it was something to the line of, can you concentrate with a hungry stomach, or when your stomach is empty? And the question is no. I mean, the answer is no, excuse me. The answer is no, you can't. You're not fully focused if you're hungry, so.
Do the kids get,
Oh, no, I'm done.
do the kids get to help with any like restocking? Like my kids, their favorite place to volunteer when they were in high school for service hours was the food bank. And they just loved it. And any kids out there who are listening, if you need service hours or even if you just want something to do, please go volunteer. So do they get to help out with these then as well?
Yeah, so in all of the buildings, it looks a little bit different. But if the students have leadership roles, so they'll apply and interview, and some of them have already been helping with food bags throughout the years. So distributing those to the classrooms so teachers can get those in the lockers or bags of kids. But this, they have.
Wait, did you say apply and interview? That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so whether it's restocking or if the family support worker has taken an order, like she's gotten an order, the parent scanned the QR code and placed their order, they might help fill that order and get that delivered. So, what you said, Aster, I think is really important to note too, is we're trying to also remove that stigma. I mean, at any point, any of our kids could be hungry. It doesn't matter where they come from. And so we want to make sure that they get that opportunity to grab a snack or take a meal home. And so we're working to really try to remove that stigma too. So all of the kids have access to those. So we really appreciate the food bank making sure that all of our kids, we don't have to ask those questions and then eliminate some kids from being have that access. They can all access the food pantry.
I appreciate Aster's perspective of seeing some other food pantries that are out there. I came from 3 different districts that have tried to do food pantries, and I've had a chance to see it myself, and I will tell this to the board, there's 300 plus districts in this state. I'm guessing there's not a single district that has a system in place that's this comprehensive as we have. So I just want to thank the food bank. I want to thank Student Services for the work that you've done. A lot of times we get caught up in all the other things that could be better in schools or in the district, and I think this is second to none in terms of what we're doing. So just thank you for all that you do, and we are serving. I mean, just the numbers that you have are incredible, so thank you.
Moving right along, the next item on our agenda is information from individuals and delegations. This is the opportunity where those who wish to address the school board may do so. Please keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. Mrs. Arndorfer will hold up a yellow card when you have 30 seconds remaining and a red card when your time has expired. At that time, I will ask you to conclude your public remarks. Please also keep your comments respectful and constructive. We're all here with the goal of trying to help our students. Please also avoid criticizing the job performance of specific employees of the school district. Personnel matters are confidential and must be handled through proper channels and not in a public forum. Finally, we provide this as an opportunity for public comments, but it's generally not a back and forth discussion, especially on items not on the agenda. At times, we'll try to help with information before or after the meetings, but we must proceed with our board meeting agenda items. With that being said, I invite anyone who would like to address the board to come to the microphone and start by stating your name and address. And please make sure the green light is on.
Thank you. My name is Troy Young. I currently work for the Waterloo School System as the system analyst.
Can you state your address, please, Mr. Young?
I beg your pardon?
Your address.
Where I live?
Yes.
229 Landmark Drive in Raymond, Iowa.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
Continue.
Yes.
Long story short, I'm here fighting to save my job. As we all know that there's been budget cuts and layoffs. But I think we all can agree that there's a process and a way of going about that. The system analyst, I don't know if people are familiar with what we do. We take care of the fire alarm system, card access, cameras, low voltage equipment. The reason why I think that I'm being unfairly treated in this situation is because I got 17, 18 years of experience. I went through a 3-year program through the Joint Apprenticeship Training Program in the state of Minnesota with the International Brotherhood Electrician Union for 3 years and worked 40 hours a week while I went to night school to do that. The position that didn't get eliminated for the other guy, he absolutely has not one single credential. He has no training in this particular field. As a matter of fact, he didn't even apply for this position. He applied for a sparky position, an electrician position. And when he was unable to get the licensing for that, they kind of created this position for him. And the guy who was already doing it, who I took his place, was licensed and qualified to do it. But when I came on, I was told by everybody in the maintenance shop, and even by this particular gentleman, that he had no previous experience, that the guy before me didn't show him anything. And I went out, I tried to show him stuff. I went back to my supervisor and said, hey, this guy is really green and he don't know anything. To my surprise, his response was that my credentials didn't matter, that ain't how it work around here, and that this ain't no competition. I don't understand how he thought I was making a competition out of it. Just doing my job, and I think my job is very important to these schools and the safeties of these kids. How can you dismiss somebody with my credentials, which I brought some, if you would like to see, my licensing for Iowa, my licensing for Minnesota. I also have an inspector's license for automatic doors. They're aware of that in human resource. They sent me a letter last Friday saying that they, so I don't misquote it. I've never spoken like this.
Mr. Young, you're fine. Your 3 minutes is up. So I'm going to ask you to conclude, but I will ask you this. Listen, Mr. Young, if you have more information, you can get that to our board secretary through email.
So I can't say nothing else?
No, your 3 minutes are up.
Okay, thank you guys. I appreciate it.
But if you have information that you would like us to see,
before you vote on it, you should give this some consideration that at least you want qualified people in the positions.
Absolutely. If you have Mr. Young,
anything.
If you have more information that you would like us to see, you can get that to the board secretary, please.
Thank you guys for your time. I appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
If there's nothing else, I'm gonna just leave, because I still got to come to work in the morning.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else that would like to address the board this evening?
Good evening, Todd Oberdahl, 124 Amity Drive. I just wanted to say that I've followed up on some of the items that I've made a public information request for. First of all, I'd like to just state unequivocally how helpful Pam Arndorfer has been in doing her duties and getting stuff to me. I was still waiting on my correspondence request. I don't have that, so I'm going to have to make some inferences based on the information that I have. And one of the things that I've learned, and I think it's very important for the public to know, because I didn't see it anywhere when I researched the old news articles and television articles, I didn't see anything about these particulars. And the particulars of the case that the Waterloo Community School District brought against their insurer for the Lowell School building, that wound up to be an expenditure of $600,000 to the taxpayers. And apparently it looks like that the school board had to set $1.75 million into an account for the legal firm, and they hung on to it, and they were going to take 30% of whatever was left after expenses, which meant a minimum of $525,000 was going to be taken out of the Waterloo School Board's funds in order to fight this case. considering that if that $1.75 million was used to pay down bonds at 4% over 4 years, that would have been $280,000 in interest savings. So we're looking at close to $1 million for this lawsuit. I love the presentation previously. Could buy a lot of food with that. Could fill a lot of positions of people that were here this meeting and last meeting that aren't so sure about having their positions. But for some reason, we looked at this, said this was a good investment. Now, again, I have to infer from this because I haven't seen the correspondence yet, and I truly hope that it is not redacted. I understand there's going to be attorney-client things, but I am the client. I am the taxpayer. The judicial process has been exhausted. There's no appeals. There's no more need to conceal strategy for winning purposes. It's done. We as citizens, we should be able to see everything that went into the consideration of doing that. And it seems that the law firm, if I have a contingency lawsuit and it's a slam dunk, I've got people beating down my doors, they're willing to take it, just sign the dotted line, no money. They'll take their cut after the fact. But the school board had a case that wound up having 7 judges rule against it and none in favor. It was so bad that the attorney from K Street in D.C. Insisted on having this money up front and guaranteed a $500,000 payout. Guaranteed. Nobody would take it as a pure contingency basis and save the district $500,000 in fees, save the district $280,000 in lost interest expense on that money. There's more to this. My yellow card is up. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Oberdahl.
Michael Chapman, 2761 Deer Road. I'd like to piggyback off what that gentleman said right there. I know that you can't go back on the librarians, otherwise the rest of the employee groups might think they have a chance. But I do have a suggestion. This school district and its board in the last year has spent $6.13 million on architectural services from Envision Architecture. That's a whole lot of jobs for some pretty pictures. I understand there might be some things that this board needs to have, that the school district needs to have, but this seems exorbitant in the most exorbitant way. I also find that the ability to find any information on this is also extremely difficult, as I'm sure this gentleman here could attest to. It's also extremely expensive. Not only do we not have any transparency, man, am I sick of hearing that word come out of anybody that has anything to do with the school district. Just because you say it doesn't make it so. This is the most untransparent district I've ever come across, organization I've ever come across. You all work for us. We have a right to see what's going on back there. Y'all are making decisions behind our backs, behind closed doors, and when the public attempts to get in there, what do? You forcefully eject them from the meeting. Oh, it's been sent out now that the public is only allowed to meetings that have a quorum of the school board. That means 2 meetings a month, 1 in the summer. Any of the other meetings that the actual decision-making process is resolved and shown have been made unavailable to the general public. I do wish that this school board would see what's going on here and be responsible to the public for which they represent. You had an entire meeting full of irritated, pissed off people that just wanted answers. Attempting to get answers went absolutely nowhere. Stonewalled and blocked at every stance. Charged so much money no one could ever see what was going on. And it's unacceptable. I hope this board takes that into consideration and backpedals on their determinations. And food for thought, it is not mandatory that a school district or school board charge any member of the public for any public information. It is a choice that is made. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chapman. Is there anyone else that would like to address the board?
Good evening, Latanya Graves, 607 East Donald Street, Waterloo. So, it looks like the teachers from Lowell have left, but what they're doing is awesome. And since they mentioned Miss McDonald, I will mention her also. And when we're out in the public, they can be as old as 40 or as young as 6, and they remember her, and they always give her a hug and tell her, even though I was sent to your room, I appreciate it. So she's doing an awesome job. So that says something about her and how she handles the young people when they're sent to her. Secondly, that's good that they're starting with elementary, because children need to feel welcomed. And it's sad to say that high schoolers don't. I spoke with some high schoolers, and I asked them, do you feel welcome when you walk into the building? And they just looked at me and didn't answer. So I asked them a second time, do you feel welcome when you walk into the building? And again, they did not answer me. So I gave them a scenario. And I said, you know, when the kids come to the center, sometimes they have an attitude, sometimes they don't. I said, but by the time we're done with them, they're like, hey! So I said again, so when you walk into the building, do you feel welcome? And they finally answered me and said no. So that's a problem that should be addressed, because they should feel like those elementary students. And we're talking about high schoolers that do not feel welcome. And one of them was a senior. So that says a lot. You know, you've been at this high school for 4 years and you don't feel welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Graves. Is there anyone else that would like to address the board? Seeing none others, we'll move on to the next item on our agenda. The next item on our agenda is the consent agenda. Tonight's consent agenda consists of 5 items. Item 1, approval of the March 24th, 2025 special session and regular board meetings. Item 2, personnel appointments and adjustments. Item 3, bills due and payable and bills paid between board meetings. Item 4, Area Education Agency Food Purchasing Agreement 2024-2025. And item 5, sale or disposal of real property, Castle Hill site. Are there any items that board members want to see removed?
Well, don't shoot me, but it's 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5.
2, 3, 4, 5. Would anyone like to remove item 1?
If you would have waited, it'd only been 3 and 4.
Oh, okay.
It was just 5 for me, but. All right, can I get a motion to put item 1, approval of minutes for the March 24th, 2025 special session and regular board meetings on the table?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye, motion carried. That brings us to item 2, personnel appointments and adjustments. It is the superintendent's recommendation that the Board of Education approve the personnel items as listed.
So moved.
Second.
And Director Mills,
Well, did you want that one too?
Yeah, but go ahead.
Go ahead.
or Director Schmidt?
You're more thorough than me, so go ahead.
Just want to note that there's a combination of reductions here. I think there's 24 resignations. Is that a normal number? I know this is your first year here, but is the number of resignations, you know, is that out of the ordinary, or is that about right?
Not necessarily. It's about right as people are starting to go through their job search for the next year, as people are either looking, I would say half of those resignations are people that we have found are moving out of the area and going somewhere else, or they're looking, maybe they're not looking in education anymore, but that's fairly normal.
And then there's the retirees.
Yep.
And then there's the reduction in force. So, and I had these questions before before the last speaker. Is there not, and I know the custodians were done by seniority, which is the traditional way, and you could argue the least controversial, maybe the fairest, I don't know. But custodians, my question is, don't they have certifications of some kind, and do we know who has what? I'm guessing they all have an OSHA certification, and a lot of them probably have a safety certification for uses of chemicals and those sorts of things. And then some of them, the specialty skills that system specialist, is that in the same category as custodian?
It's not. So the custodian is one piece, it's one class of that group. So when we talked about reductions, we just looked at second shift custodians. That was where we had talked about, honestly, during 2020, the COVID piece, that was probably when we increased custodial services.
Yeah.
So that's where we looked at when we were doing those reductions. And yes, that was based on seniority for the custodian group. The maintenance group is a different group. But that was discussions with Zach Kelly then about which positions were most needed, which positions necessarily could be absorbed in other places if it was still a full job load in that position or not. And that was the discussion that we had as we talked about any reductions.
So does lead custodian, do they have?
So that should probably be listed as a custodian as well. That's a lead custodian on the night shift, so it's not the same as a head building custodian.
Okay. So, but the system specialist was lumped in with the rest of the custodians?
It was listed in with the classified staff, yeah.
So is there a current system specialist?
There is.
Is it is that normal to just have, it's just one in the district? Is that how that works? I don't know anything about the position.
That would be what I would have to defer to Zach to tell me a little bit more about that. That was the discussion that we had, and that was his determination that we would be.
Okay.
So these weren't all by seniority?
All of the custodian-specific pieces were, but then the maintenance part, we looked at what the job role reduction of that position if it was needed, but then if there were multiple people in that position, we looked at the seniority of who had been in that position longer within our district.
Okay.
Wait, so were all the night ones gone then? Is that right? Like all the night custodians? Is that how?
It was just a reduction of night custodians.
Oh, but
we
not-
still do
not-
have night custodians. These 12 were just, or 11, I'm sorry, just came out of that second shift group.
Okay, and it's just the positions were reduced, and then you moved people. It was just based on seniority, like who stayed.
Correct.
Right. Okay.
Correct.
So the number allocated to each school, is that a case-by-case basis based on the school, or is there a formula, or how does that work?
I would have to talk with Zach about that, but yes, he does have a formula for how he determines it. It was at one point based on square footage of the building. I'd have to talk with him if that's still the method that he's been using.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so first I wanted to say that for people who have children who have a 504 or an IEP, if your kid has not checked in with the TAP people, please do so. I saw we have another position being hired. They have worked with my two daughters, and they're working with them in college as well, and it is definitely worth, it's worth doing. They're amazing people. Okay, so how many, under resignations for certified, how many of those positions do you think are going to be dropped, or are you going to try to move people like into them? I know, I'm just trying to figure out what it's going to look like, and this is a huge question. You know, as we reduce positions, so since we have these people who've, resigned, are some of these positions going to still exist and we're going to move people into them, or?
Correct. Some of them will be positions that we backfill with current staff that are, and then not fill that position, so we would have the reduction that way. Some of these positions will have to be filled either way. I can tell you, like, math teachers in high school, we do not have somebody that we can backfill a math teacher for. We're gonna need to hire externally for math teachers.
Okay.
So, Stacy, that's a fantastic question, and that's, no, it is, because that's what we're talking about, but that's what my office is working on, tracking and going through all of that, and that's gonna be a lot of our work over the next, honestly, we've been doing it since spring break and through the next month, is tracking all of this and what it looks like. So, ask me for more details in a month or so, and I should be able to give you even more detail about what it looks like. But what we're talking about backfilling positions, that's exactly what we're trying to do.
And so that was my other question then, was just the same with like the building subs. And we kind of, Jared and I, we weren't quite sure, like, are the building subs certified teachers? So can they be in that same pool where they can?
Most of our building subs are not certified teachers. They have a substitute authorization.
Gotcha. I think that was, all I had. And it was the same with the para positions, just that you'll do the same thing with trying to move people.
Most of our para positions that we were talking about eliminating, building principals have already had conversations with those folks about, hey, you're in a general education para role now. We have an open special ed position. So they, from everything I've heard, they have been just fine with just kind of flipping over to that special ed role. And then we make those transfers, and then we're all set.
Perfect, thank you.
Any more questions? All those in favor of approving the superintendent's recommendation state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye, motion carried. That brings us to item 3. Is that right? Yeah. Bills due and bills payable between board meetings. The superintendent's recommendation that the Board of Education approve the bills due and payable and the bills paid between board meetings.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, so JT, for the, what page is it on? 28, it looks like, I'm sorry, like it's typed over. The payments to Department of Human Services, and then there's another one, another big one that is for Hawkeye. So how much of a period does that encompass? Is that the whole year? I think each of them are 200,000-ish. Like, what time period does that cover?
The Hawkeye Community College is for our students that are taking college courses, so that's going to be a semester.
That's per semester?
Yep, that would be a per semester. The payment to Iowa Department of Human Services, that's their portion of the Medicaid reimbursement.
Okay.
So that could be up to 2 or 3 months actually of claims, just depending on whatever the dates were that were submitted. That's in our special ed services handles those claims.
What kind of stuff is that part? I'm sorry.
Medicaid. So students that qualify for Medicaid, we get a portion of that revenue, and the state holds on to their piece. So that's the state's portion of the Medicaid reimbursement.
Okay. And then for Envision, there's 2 on there on page 29, I think it says. At the bottom, for Envision, there's one for 489 and then one for 244. What fund does that come out of? And then what work does that encompass?
They have been contracted to do the design for the one high school project at some point. Before my time, the board would have approved that contract.
Yeah.
So this is for their services for that.
This is all, I mean, is this all that we've paid? Is this?
No, this is, we would have been paying them, on a monthly basis or twice a month whenever we have received an invoice. So
this is
coming out of the sales tax fund.
This is coming out of SAVE?
Yep.
Okay. And is there a way on here to tell, like, what fund it comes out, or any, like,
So when you're looking at the report, Bank 10 is going to be the general fund.
Okay.
Bank 12 is going to be our nutrition fund. And then Bank 14 is going to be our student activity fund. And then Bank 16 is going to be our Saver capital projects funds.
Okay. So we're paying this out of SAVE. Just theoretically, what happens if we are unable to sell bonds? Like, this is just what we're paying them to do the work that they've already done, right? Am I understanding it?
Yes, typically the architect contract has different services that they provide, and you pay based on how much they've done per that piece of the contract. So I don't know how this one is written, but there's certain milestones they reach in the design process, and when they get to the bid process, that there's payments that belong to that piece of the contract. If we choose not to do the project, then we likely don't have to pay for the construction management part of that contract.
Okay.
But I would have to check the fine print of that language, and maybe Lyle, more about that than I do.
The overall contract, and this is typical, was based on a percentage of the expected construction cost.
Well, yeah, that's what I thought. So that's why I wasn't sure why but we still have a monthly, like, based on what they do by a month as well. Or by pay period.
Progress payment.
Yeah,
So
as their costs accumulate, we pay as you go, but it's all part of and I don't remember the number, it was lower than normal because it's a larger project than normal, but whatever percent that was.
I believe it was 6%.
That's what I thought too.
Agreed to, something.
And but this is part of that 6%. This isn't extra.
No, it's part of the 6%.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to throw those on you, but just wanted to clarify it. So thank you.
As long as we're on the subject, I do have if you could give me a breakdown sometime. This waterworks bill seems really, really high. It's almost approaching, if this is a quarterly, which it normally is.
What page is that one on?
It's on page 5 of 5. 2 of 5, I don't know. It's the one before, the one you were talking about.
Yeah, I can get you that information.
The 62.
Because it's like 80% of our gas bill if this is like quarterly. So what I'm really searching for, is there a large water use, and there shouldn't be in the past 3 months in the winter, but is there a large water use we're buying from the city that we could be using from our own wells? That's my real question. Now, I know in this there's also garbage and a bunch of other things probably, but it just seems like it kind of stands out.
Oh, I was also going to ask, for student, is this, how much, the 693 or whatever, what time period is that for?
That's a month.
That's a month?
Yep.
Okay.
Is that all we have? Anything else? All those in favor of approving the superintendent's recommendation, state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye, motion carried. That brings us to item 4. Yes. The Area Education AEA Food Purchasing Agreement 2024-2025. The superintendent's recommendation that the Board of Education approve the contract between Waterloo Schools and the Area Education Agency for food purchasing during the 2025-2026 school year as outlined.
So moved.
Second.
And questions?
Yeah, I just found it, I just was a little confused. So in the details, it says that the participation in the AA purchasing is, there's no cost because the fees, small fees are paid by the vendors. But so then on the next page, when it's going down under AA purchasing administrative fee, it says that the what are we called? member, I think it is, the eligible member pays the 50 cents per case or 10 cents per broken case. So does that somehow how does that money come back? And under payment, it says eligible member will pay applicable administration fees included on its invoices. These administrative fees will be paid to AA Purchasing by prime vendor pursuant to the agreement with AA Purchasing and prime vendor. So who does pay the fee? And is the purchasing power that much more to be part of the group?
Yes, this, I don't know exactly how many districts are part of this AEA purchasing agreement, but there's a lot. Obviously Heather and Zach can speak to that more than I can, but my understanding of how it works is the fees are, we pay the fees, but we get reimbursement for them.
Is that what this was talking about? It says balance refunded on a pro rata basis.
Correct.
And then the amount sent back as a year-end food rebate was 400. Is that for everybody, that 430,000?
Yeah, that's not just Waterloo.
Right, that's like everybody in the, okay.
Yep.
I know we've used this before, I just don't remember if I had asked enough questions to have a full understanding.
So probably some good context for you. That's kind of timely in some conversations we've had about food service. We've been looking at, there's a bunch of different funds. We've been really educating in terms of different buckets of funds. Yeah. Our food service fund is actually looking really solid right now. We've got it's a good problem to have, probably have a little, maybe a little too much in there right now. So we've talked with our food service leadership about, okay, are there other ways, first and foremost, to help offset some of the costs in other general fund? Mm-hmm. There's not a whole lot of options out there, or other, or save fund, pebble fund, so forth. So really, the task we're giving them, our food service, and we're actually seeing some of that start, like as of this week, is to really think outside the box in terms of how we can make the food experience for our students better. So what we're starting, I believe, is this week. I have to check my email. Is pre-COVID we were doing we did some one idea is like hot breakfast, which sounds but post-COVID we've been kind of slow to go back to that, and we said we need to, hey, we're in a good situation with our budget in terms of the food service, and we've heard a theme tonight has been making sure our students are prepared for school and that they're eating food. So we're actually taking some really good steps that this is just timely that we're looking at increasing, this is all plans for next year, but doing more of the hot breakfast, using higher quality meat, specifically chicken and beef, and then also more fresh fresh fruits. So those are all 4 things that are coming that I'm glad you brought this up because I'm able to share those things in our conversations with food service of, hey, we can't go crazy, right? We got to be mindful, but maybe like a 10%, like a 10% increase in food costs that would make sure that we're meeting the needs of our students as best we can. So some exciting things happening in food service, and literally I think it's this week, we're seeing the hot breakfast back in action in our elementary schools.
That is awesome. It is a very different way to start your day. So, I was going to say, those of us that grew up in Waterloo, we remember the hot lunches, and they were made though in the district.
We just ate all the French fries. Come on, we just put quarters down and ate the patties.
You didn't like the elementary pizza, the big
So I know we have to start somewhere, but I don't want to limit it to elementary. Everybody gets hungry. Mm-hmm. I'm advocating for high school, as Janelle or Director Ewing stated, and I actually, in my day job, am housed in the high schools, so East and Western Expo, and I see so many students utilizing outside programs just to get a meal or just to get a snack because they don't eat the food. And I'm not sure, it was before my time, where the breakdown in what we serve now compared to when I was in school, even though we had open lunch when I was in school, we still had choices that if you either didn't have the financial means or the transportation, and we had stuff in walking distance, but you still were able to get a real meal within the school buildings. So we live in Iowa.
The salad bar at West was,
Yeah.
it was amazing, and it was, you could have a pile of food.
We live in Iowa. Like, it's farm and farmland all over the place. We had soybean burgers. The Trojan and Warhawk and Charger burgers were soybean burgers. Like, how can we not have those as an option? I don't know who thought that processed food, some of the things that we're eating now, is better than French fries or better than a slice of pizza with cheese and meat. I mean, we're eating processed chicken or, not a large salad or vegetable option, but we seem to think that those options are better for our students. There's a huge thing on, I don't want to get too political, but the type of food that Americans are consuming. So when I tell you that these students are getting these snacks, and I haven't seen any in the pantries, but our students are being raised off of hot Cheetos and Takis. and I'm not sure, it's funny, but it is funny because I don't see how they do it, but I'm serious. They think that's nourishment because it does something to their body at the moment. But then they got to go learn. So you got elementary school students, they go get a bag of hot Takis and some Cheetos and come to school, and you think they're supposed to be able to learn. And everything I've read is tied to ADHD and all the other things that we're seeing. But that's what they gravitate to because the school lunches aren't much better, in my opinion. So I don't know if that's a board decision, a food service conversation, but I need to see some better food in these buildings. Even if it's some pasta, we can cook a bunch of spaghetti and with some meat sauce and have an option, or some Alfredo or some potatoes or something. We live in, like I said, we live in Iowa. There's plenty of chickens and cows and whatever else that's available for consumption, but these students aren't eating, they're hungry, and they're eating junk. They ain't gonna learn. So I'm gonna get off my soapbox and we're gonna move forward, but like I said, I don't know if that's a board decision, but I don't want it to go another year. So, all right, I'm gonna get off my soapbox. I think we need to vote.
I think your challenge is spot on, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say for my kids, that when they were in wrestling season, they take their lunch because the schools are high carb, high sugars, and just opposite what they need for training. I'm sure other athletes are very much the same, but
yeah,
if you're training, you need certain types of foods, and schools just don't really have that. So
I don't always like bringing up my personal. I never try to put my personal in it, but I have a third grader, Cunningham, and my wife and my son have this thing where they go over the lunch menu the night before. Now, my wife travels for work sometimes, and I hope my son knows I ain't making no lunches. So whatever on the menu is what he gonna eat, or he gonna do something else. So he eat more peanut butter and jelly sandwiches than anything, because he knows certain things on the lunch menu that he just ain't gonna eat. So, I don't like that, but
I think it is a good discussion in the fact that, Jared, that, you guys have recognized that there's a little more wiggle room at some point, that we can start talking about that too. When my mom worked at Orange, she ran the lunch program, and she remembers when it went from being stuff made in-house to what she called cattle Congress food. So it is, and it's not all like that. Like, my daughter loved the chicken and rice, I think it was. Anyway, there's a lot of stuff.
The last thing I'm gonna say about that is, would anybody up here eat it? If you ate lunch and you went in the cafeteria, would you order that? Would you eat it? They do
We have, and there are some preferred, you're exactly right. There are some preferred, and we did just have this conversation, with our food service people, so they're trying to get creative with some of those options too, and actually trial some with some of our student groups, just to get their feedback on, hey, like what works, what do you prefer, etc. So we are working through those ideas.
I've seen East had some pasta one day, and it went crazy, as the young people say. So,
But the number of school-age kids that are pre-diabetic is really scary, and I've got diabetes myself, so I kind of understand what you can and shouldn't eat.
Yeah.
Not that you don't once in a while. But yes, it's, the number has just skyrocketed on the pre-diabetic, and I think we're just starting to learn that processed food and some of that stuff is a contributory. Obviously, we need the science behind it, but I think we need to start moving in that direction as fast as we can.
okay. Is that it?
Yep.
All right, sorry to take up so much time. So all those in favor of approving the superintendent's recommendation, state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye, motion carried. That brings us to the next item on the consent agenda.
That's the longest time we've ever spent on milk and cookies.
Yeah. Item 5, the sale or disposal of real property, Castle Hill. It is the superintendent's recommendation that the Board of Education post the site of Castle Hill, address 1720 Maynard Avenue, Waterloo, Iowa, for sale.
So moved.
Second?
I just have a comment on this. We're adding, if things go as planned, a lot of square footage, about 260,000, but we're also, this is one of 3 items that will come before the board for sale. So all total will be taken offline, our under roof square footage of more than half that. So adding 260, taking 140, I don't remember the exact numbers, to 150 offline. So the net is less than half of what the new build is. So this is all part of a larger strategy to reduce our costs.
My question was, do we have any more definite estimates as to what we're planning to price the property at? Sorry, JT, you're the only person listed that's on here.
Yeah, not from what we reported the last time. I know Zach has been in communication with local representation, but there's some people that are interested at this point.
But we don't have an estimate.
Zach has been working on that. He's talked to a few groups and some realtors, so a rough estimate. We have some rough, I think you should have received the rough estimates.
I'll look.
Yeah.
Typical process would be to post it, and so there might be some signage that's out there that just says that it's for sale. Working with the city on, if they have any ideas, and then any proposals would be submitted to either Zach or JT. After a certain amount of time, then it would come to facilities, but there are some interested parties.
Yeah, the reason the city, we need to have them involved is there are certain incentives that they can provide on any property.
Mm-hmm.
So if we combine their incentive with the property itself, it maximizes the value. But on these types of properties, there historically has not been much success. Advertising, and you get a bid for $1. And we have,
But we did that with the property on Elk Run.
But these, I think, the ones we have now should have a true commercial value, especially if we partner with the city, which we are. So.
Okay.
And
So the
just FYI, looking forward, we are going to be, the next one is a portion of the land around Greenbrier. So we will start the process for that plat of land at the next board meeting, setting a date for public hearing and all this whole process.
So this is now posting it for sale, and then the offers go to facilities, and then it comes back again before we sell it anyway, right? Okay. That's my only question.
And then, thanks to Pam, I wanted to give a little update. Thanks to Pam, I was wondering when the last time Castle Hill was utilized as a building. Sounds like it was opened in 1955 and closed in 1989, but then it was leased to the AEA for special needs students. My son, I know, was a Castle Hill student. I think my
son was
daughter
too.
I think my daughter may have been a Castle Hill student as well, but that lease ended in 2013. So since 2013, it hasn't been utilized with students from the district within that building. So another opportunity for some cost savings and to create some revenue in that area. Any more
And so
questions?
there'll be like an auction or something, because I'm assuming there's stuff in it, right?
It typically is taken to an auction place, but don't expect much.
Okay.
The opportunity will probably be there, but what's, can be utilized.
And that would also come before the board. Okay. Just to approve whatever is in there to go to auction.
Hey, you never know. I have a beautiful cabinet from the West Junior auction. It's in my living room. You never know.
It's like selling old pianos, it's just not a market.
Any more questions or comments? So all those in favor of approving the superintendent's recommendation state aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye, motion carried. That ends our consent agenda items for the evening. And now, moving on to item 11, it is WCC travel to FCCLA National Leadership Conference in Orlando, Florida. It is the superintendent's recommendation that the Board of Education approve travel for the WCC advisor and student to attend the FCCLA National Leadership Conference in Orlando, Florida from July 4th through the 9th, 2025.
Thank you. Thank you.
Second.
You don't even need to hear from us?
Yes.
Well, hello, my name is Bobby Dellett. I'm the student in question. Aside from my flashy red blazer and her beautiful smile, we've done a lot of hard work to get to where we are.
You know, those marching band sunglasses would really complete
They're
that,
actually in my car.
that look,
So, I competed at the state level in our FCCLA competition. I participated in an event called Teacher Train. So I was required to create a lesson plan and essentially present that idea to a few judges, and I received a gold medal in my event, which means I scored a 90 or above, and I qualified for nationals in Orlando, Florida. I did not bring my presentation. However, if you guys would want to see it, I would be more than willing to present it. If you wanted to schedule that, I'd be more than willing to do that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Should we see it beforehand or after? Okay.
It's really up to you. I'm more than confident in my presentation. To be totally honest with you, I was not confident when I was the day of my presentation. Me and my roommate on that trip, Alex Jorgensen, my best friend, ride or die, we were going through it with a fine-tooth comb, to be totally honest with you. I was so nervous, and I've never been nervous about public speaking, so I was like, what is wrong? And it turned out I did not need to be nervous at all. I knew what I was talking about, and just having them there to support me really meant everything. So, yeah, I would be more than willing to present it.
So you said the presentation was on teacher training?
Yes.
So do you plan on being a teacher?
Yes, I am currently enrolled in the Waterloo Career Center classes of education, so the education pathway. I plan to follow the Degree in 3 program, so I will have 1 year at Hawkeye Community College to complete my undergrads, and then 2 years at University of Northern Iowa, where I will complete my K-12 education, and I will get the special education endorsement. I plan to go into special education.
Special ed, okay, I was gonna ask you.
And
what
you'll
kind of
return back to the Waterloo Community Schools.
If there's a spot for me, more than willing, yes. I do plan to get a job right after completing my education and then returning to college to get my master's. Because if I don't go right away, I won't go at all. So.
I see.
You never know. I'm 51 and I'm thinking about it, so, but don't wait till you're 51.
So you're gonna come back and also be a Gold Star teacher, eh?
That would be swell. I actually did go to the award ceremony in which Tracy was a part of.
Nice.
I wore a hot pink suit. It was very great. I loved it. I still have the suit. I plan on taking it to Orlando with me. If the opportunity presents itself that it may be worn, it would be a great honor.
Nice.
Otherwise, this dashing outfit is what I'll wear majority of the time.
I had never heard of FCCLA before this. Can you
FCCLA
expand upon it a little and how you got involved?
Well, to be totally honest with you, I got involved because it fits in my career path. So a lot of the competitions are culinary based, which is Tracy's forte, and my friend Alex is the best cook I've ever had in my life. But then I found out that there were some education competitions, and who wouldn't want a free opportunity to miss school? Let's be honest. So, right. And so I took the opportunity to learn. Part of my requirements to participate in this competition is I had to do a career exploration. And so there was a packet that I filled out, and it really gave me the opportunity to like dig deep into what the education career is like. Being in my WCC classes, I'm also have completed my level 1s in the classroom. So I did level 1 experience at Fred Becker Elementary.
What does that mean?
So it's basically like before you student teach, you observe in a classroom first. So I observed Dawn Laws in her 4th grade classroom. I observed Tracy's son in North Tama in his 5th grade classroom. And then I did some observation time in the special education or extended core classroom at Central Middle School. And that's kind of how I decided that special education was for me. The first day I went in there, I got my lanyard yanked and I like hit my head on a desk and I was like, yep, sign me up. So.
Yeah, lots of education programs call it different things. At U of Iowa, they called it practicum, and that's where you go and observe before you student teach, before they throw you in with the sharks, so.
Yeah, our clinic, we call them clinical hours or level 1 field experience is our title for that.
I'm sure I'm not the only person, definitely not the only person up here. I'm sure in the gallery, they feel the same way. You're very articulate. How you carry yourself, you're whatever you decide to do. I think you'll do well. Glad that you're going into the teaching profession, and that your path is part of the path that we promote for our students.
Yeah.
You know, the WCC, the Hawkeye, the UNI, and then back to the Waterloo Schools to become a Gold Star teacher. So,
Yes, Bobby, your gift of the gab will help you very much
And if you
in your quest to become a teacher.
Yeah, and if you can handle that extended core class at Central, my son was in it, so you're on your way. You're on your way.
It was honestly my favorite out of all of my placements. It was my favorite by far.
Oh, you had me think of Fateman on the best cook you know.
In all fairness, your wife has only baked for me. She's the best baker I know, for sure.
Yeah.
So you're gonna come do the presentation for us, and then you guys are going to travel in July, right? Okay. And
Nice.
how's the funding gonna be put together, Tracy?
It's Perkins funded mostly.
Can you? I don't know if they can hear you. You might want to get to the microphone.
Sorry. Devin Winters is working on that through Perkins funding. She had thought she has enough, but there's 18 BPA kids going, and Bobby and I, and some skills students, so
you know, that money can only go so far. So Devin is in charge of that.
Exciting.
Are there any more questions, comments?
Looks like a great agenda, thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Thank
That's
you.
awesome.
Thank you.
I owe it to my mom, so.
I think I'm gonna set up that he's gonna teach over at the WCC, and I'll just invite the board, and if you can come, great, and if not, then I don't think.
Yeah, it's just a 10-minute oral presentation. It's like nothing crazy, but it's a special education lesson plan.
Step onto the microphone so
Yeah,
people listening
so,
can hear you.
Like the competition itself, I created a portfolio, and then I have a 10-minute oral presentation. So it's not like a huge, you know, over the top kind of thing, but I'd be more than willing to present it in front of you guys.
Amazing.
If you can't get on the agenda to do it, can you record it and send the portfolio so at least we can see it in case we can't see it ahead of time?
Sure.
Okay.
Nice.
Thank you.
Don't leave yet. Don't leave yet.
We're not done.
We
You
gotta
gotta
make
vote
sure.
on this.
We'll congratulate you after if it goes through.
Could be a close vote, huh?
Yeah. So all those in favor of approving the superintendent's recommendation state aye. Aye. Any opposed? Chair votes aye, motion carried. Good luck to you in Florida.
Thank you.
Good job. Thank you. The next item on our agenda is item 12, the proposed high school boundary change 2025-2026 school year. The superintendent's recommendation is that the Board of Education adopt the high school boundary changes as proposed on the attached map to take effect beginning with the 2025-2026 school year.
So moved.
Second.
Y'all racking it up down there. So we have Sheena Kennedy, Director of Student and At-Risk Services, to give us a little bit more details on this important information.
All right. So I'm fairly confident we're all kind of on the same page around the information regarding the boundary change. But really, this is the byproduct of the one high school coming up, as well as balancing enrollment between the two. So the map that is in front of you, the yellow portion, is the portion that we're looking at just north of the river. In the yellow portion, the students will be going to west, and I think this was the byproduct of, at one point, a diversity bill or scenario that kind of forced us to bus kids across town. And Aster, you'll be the first to tell us this has been a very long time coming. So we've arrived at the point where we feel this is the right time, the committee being the people that feel it's the right time to make this shift and kind of balance those numbers and really get to a point where students are closer in proximity to their high school in this area in particular.
Did we figure out how many kids it ends up affecting? And we'd spoken before about maybe reaching out to some of the families. How did it all go?
So this is a very fluid number. We are truly relying on registration information from the beginning of the year. So this, if a parent hasn't updated their address, we could have, students calculated into this number that really don't land in this boundary. But as of right now, we have 170 students that are directly affected, 225 total, but 55 of those students are enrolled to Expo or virtual learning. We've included the 55 because if they come out of Expo or off of virtual learning, then obviously their boundary school would be East High at that point. Our process for getting this information is going to be very direct, right? Instead of just sending a letter, we plan to call all 225 parents to let them know of the change and the options if they choose to remain, which is an option for 10th, 11th, and 12th graders, and any 9th grader that has a sibling that is currently attending West.
Is 225 parents or parents of 225 kids?
225 students.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
And there are households, so we do have family. I think there's quite a few with 2 to 3 students in each household. So
I very much appreciate the options, the way you put them in. I think those are super smooth, Sheena.
Any other questions?
Anything else?
About time.
I've spoken on it enough, I believe.
Okay.
But I do want to say that this is also part of some cost savings with transportation. Hopefully, this will take 2 or 3 buses off of line from transport students from one side of town to the other. So, yeah, I don't want to say it's a long time coming. There's a lot of factors that the reasoning why it was initially done. So we'll just move forward and let that be that.
Awesome.
Any more questions, comments? Okay, so all those in favor of approving the superintendent's recommendation state aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye, motion carried.
All right, thank you. Yes. Thank you for all your work on that, Sheena. I know it's a lot.
So that brings us to the next item on our agenda. Item 13 is the WESP Contract Agreement 2025 through 2027. It is the superintendent's recommendation that the Board of Education approve the proposed agreement with the Waterloo Educational Support Personnel for July 1, 2025 through June 30th, 2027 as presented.
So moved.
Second.
And for questions, we have Sam Kresick, Interim Director of Human Resources, and JT Anderson, CFO, to answer any questions that we may have.
Pam, do we have to do anything since the date was different on there?
No, she read it correctly.
Oh, because it was read correctly, okay.
So I guess I'm interested in how that number was arrived at. I know that 3% isn't very much, particularly the inflation we have. On the other hand, we just laid off a bunch, so 3% more with 2% more money means you're negative and somebody has to be laid off. So that's kind of how it works. And so what's the thought process, or how were you thinking about that?
So how we were thinking about that is we talked earlier when we talked about the personnel adjustments as we were reducing some of the positions. Most of those were gen ed positions that fall within the WESP group outside of the custodians, but we were trying to find a landing spot for them, possibly in a special education position, so they still had a role. So we did eliminate some positions in general. Where we came to with the 3% increase was we had already negotiated a 3% increase for the WEA group for next year. So they got a $480 increase on their base salary. That would be our teachers and anybody within the WEA group. As we've had conversations with the WESP group, the thought was if WEA is already getting 3%, WESP we'd want to keep all of our groups pretty much in the same area, but we also started the conversation, obviously, the reductions that we've been going through. When we go back to the negotiation table next year, the goal would be to talk about a less than 3% increase, which kind of lines up with that whole reduction and budget presentation we had on March 10th, talking about keeping those salary increases lower than normal for the 26-27 school year.
So what's I've got an old copy that has the wrong dates on it. So this, what's on the table is 25, 26?
Correct. And then
just that?
Correct, just 25, 26, and then we'd reopen for negotiations for 26, 27.
Okay. How many people are involved? About.
Give me just a second.
While Sam is pulling that up, I see some of our leadership that's still here at 7:25. Just the whole all the conversation here, it has not been easy in terms of the budget reductions, but my conversations, the WA leadership, WSP leadership, just being in those rooms has been incredible. The partnership, the collaboration, it hasn't been easy on both ends. It's not going to be easy moving forward, but I just want to thank Sam, I want to thank JT, Amy, and then the leadership as well for just advocating for employees, but also understanding the situation we're in. you'd be hard pressed to find a better relationship at this point in any district. So thank you guys for that.
About 550 total employees.
Thank you.
So it's not a percentage per se, because their hourly rate, it's the 44 cents an hour wages across the board, right? But so paras have the same steps and longevity the way that teachers do? Is that how it's broken down?
No.
No.
They have a different salary, not a salary schedule, but a different wage schedule that we go off of. So it's a 44-cent increase across the board for the base of all those wages.
Okay, but I mean, I'm just saying they have steps too as well, like.
Yes, they can move up steps based on experience.
Okay.
Like experience within the district.
So is that yearly, they move every year too?
Correct.
Okay. We've talked about the longevity piece, does that just mean like, when you get to a certain point, then you don't increase as much every year, is that right?
Yeah, our steps only go up to 8, I believe, for our WESP staff, and then we have a longevity system after that. I could get you that salary table after today if you want.
Thank you.
Yep. Is that it?
Thank you, Amber, for always being here too.
So all those in favor of approving the superintendent's recommendation, state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye, motion carried. That brings us to our next item, which is for information only. It is board policy changes, first reading. The following policies have been reviewed by the district leadership team and the policy review committee and are being presented for first reading. Item number 102.0, equal educational opportunity. Item 206.03, secretary. Item 302.01, superintendent qualifications, recruitment and appointment. Item 303.02, administrator qualifications, recruitment and appointment. Item 401.01, equal employment opportunity. Item 402.02, child abuse reporting. Item 501.08, student attendance records. Item 505.05, high school graduation. Item 506.01, education records access. Item 603.04, multicultural gender fair education. Item 605.01, instructional materials selection, recodification only. Item 620.01, Waterloo Community School District student proficiency requirements. Item 708.0, care, maintenance, and disposal of school district records. And item 901.0, public examination of school district records. Are there any questions on any of these? And this is the first reading.
I see we did a lot of changes in the graduation piece there, high school graduation.
Yep, so while Sharice is coming up, she can explain all of those, but just in general, with the exception of the couple of that came out of teaching and learning in Sharice's department, IASB has just put out a policy primer, and most of these are changes directly affected by, with some recent legislative changes. So that's kind of where the majority of them came from. And then we added Mrs. Ortman's in addition to those. So she can talk about those a little bit.
Bev said it's primer, remember? We still don't.
Well, hi, board.
Hello.
What questions do you have?
Well, let's see, just looking for C3 dropping.
We did drop C3. C3 we did a reconstruction of that course, but it was determined based on some of the costs when they were looking at budgets that wouldn't be a priority one that would be required for graduation.
Okay.
So that one was dropped. And we did adjust I don't know if you noticed, the core diploma to deduct that one credit so that the core diploma, I think most of you probably know we have 3 diplomas. We have the standard, which is 44 credits, core, which is for kids who, let's just get them the 4 right? For whatever reason, they might not have the time to be able to, or a lifestyle that allows them to get the standard diploma. So we did create the core and the standard and the honors diploma a few years ago. And the core diploma, we did adjust that C3 credit on the core diploma.
On the
so
elective
that
side.
Yep. Leaning into the student, we wanted to have more access for them.
The other one is kind of interesting here. I know this may be out of policy, but I like the change in wording on the honors diploma as far as changing it from classes to credits.
Yes.
I thought that was good.
Yeah.
I do think I think we're a little short on AP STEM, I think, other than IB stuff. I'm looking at, we got physics, chemistry, biology, and calculus, basically only 4 AP STEM-based classes we got. Have we ever considered, I was just looking at the list here, have we ever considered AP pre-calc?
Was that you that brought it up? Somebody just brought up AP.
No, it wasn't. This is
it just came up. We have AP Calc.
AP Calc, but
We do have
AP
AP
pre-calculus out there.
No, we don't
Because-
have an AP Pre-Calc.
Has that ever been considered?
Every year we go through, now it is, you just brought it up, Jesse. Every year we do a review of the AP classes, and we look at, quite often, we evaluate them, and quite often we look at like what's trending, or why would we need it, would we need it? And we have a college pre-calc, or a high school pre-calc, so that was one reason we would be competing, we feel like, based on the math pathway, because right now, how many kids would take the AP pre-calc if we're going from algebra, geometry, algebra 2, some of those kids are vetting into statistics and calc, and then IB, math and analysis. So do we have enough years for AP pre-calc to be added?
I assume that AP pre-calc, wouldn't it be not that you could go straight from geometry or algebra 2 to AP pre-calc based on you wouldn't have a pre-calc prerequisite for it, you could jump right to that.
You could, but I'd have to look at college acceptance rates on that, because AP Calc is accepted. I don't know if the state schools accept AP Pre-Calc, and we usually look at that 4-year trend.
And I'm trying to think about, if you look at post-algebra 2, like the IB pathway, you have 2 different math options, where AP there's only one equivalent AP math option, so it would kind of balance
But we have
IB and AP there.
statistics. We have statistics, so we have 3 college math pathways. We have concurrent statistics, we have AP calculus, and we have IB math application analysis. And then we also have calculus 2 at UNI. So we actually have 4 college math classes.
Yeah, the Calc 2 is going to be hard to get to, unless you're...
It is, but we have kids doing that.
Yeah, but I bet it's challenging. The other thing with the stats, we have concurrent stats, right? So
We have concurrent stats.
I was just gonna say, children out there, please think about doing the concurrent stats. Mallory's doing it at UNI and she's dying. She's doing okay, but yeah, you can do it at West and East, do it.
Yeah, I only took concurrent stats at West, or at WCC, and it transferred to UNI. But I have seen some of the stats that are non-Iowa schools, it doesn't transfer as well.
Oh, really? We usually follow the trends for most of our courses to Iowa State UNI, since that's where most of our students from Waterloo Schools attend. We did have 27 go to out-of-state colleges and premier colleges, and they can really set that. They don't always look at concurrent offerings, but AP and IB they do, because they're national and international.
The stat piece, like what I've seen was like it doesn't transfer well into engineering-based curriculum. So I mean, it will may count for a lower level stat, but it won't count for your engineering stats. Where I'm not sure if AP would align to that or not.
Correct.
Yeah.
But it does better prepare students. So even if it doesn't transfer.
Oh yeah, that I agree with. That I agree.
We did change the wording to
stats and
honors
stuff.
diploma, and one of the things that we did is we overlapped this in the program of studies. So now the policy looks exactly like the program of studies for the graduation. We want
That's
to
good,
mimic
yeah.
it.
No, it was, it's been an interesting adventure through that whole thing of, what transfers, what doesn't, and, and how they apply. The latest one, like, I know Iowa State, their gen eds, you got 12 gen ed requirements, plus a IEP and a UP or something like that, United States and International. But histories, you can only take 2 in one area, so our 2 histories qualify as gen ed, but they don't meet the international one or the other one. So
Right.
yeah, so you got to go find, unless you want to take extra credits, you got to go find those specific.
IB World History does,
Yeah.
if you get a 4 or higher, and we also have AP History.
Yep.
And U.S. History 2, 1877 qualifies at the 3 state schools as a liberal arts.
As a gen ed, but not the specific that there's 2 specific ones. Yeah. So,
I think
nice
Jesse
work.
wants to work in my office.
I was just gonna say, I saw, did the military credit thing we talked about end up not working?
No,
Okay.
no. That was something.
It was a good idea.
But it was a great idea, and it came in 2019, and so it must have been something at the time that was offered. So we looked into it and we removed it. But I did get did you want your stats on how many honors?
Yes.
Okay, so Stacy asked me, so I did look it up. At West High last year, we had 214 students who ended up with the standard, the 44 credits plus. We had 68 students at West end up with the honors and 45 with the core diploma. At East High, we had 151 graduates with the standard, 25 with the honors diploma, 32 with the core diploma. And at Expo, we had 59 with a standard diploma and 54 with a core diploma. So our tiered system really does meet the demographic and offer a diploma for all students. Yeah. And special ed, that was added. That was new to the language, that special ed students will also receive the diploma. So they make sure that they have 4 years of English, 3 of math, 3 of science, 3 of social studies to also graduate with a Waterloo Schools diploma. That was added.
Yeah, I had a question. What's the practical difference between following on page 69, I think you're referring to students with individualized education plans. So there seemed to be a qualifier of following the IEP, and now there's not. You see which one I'm in?
Are you you mean in the graduation policy?
I'm on page 69. Yeah.
Oh, students with individual education plan?
Yeah.
Oh, graduation requirements for special ed students include successful completion of 4 years of English, 3 years of math, 3 years of social studies, and 3 years of science. So now what the special ed department does is they make sure that all students have a path. That's what the 4-3-3, basically it means that gets you a diploma, is if you have 4 years of English, 3 years of math, 3 of science, and 3 of social studies. So now the IEP teams make sure that they have a pathway for our special ed students to get that 4 years, the 3 for those other subjects to get a diploma.
The way I'm reading it, right or wrong, is that this is a higher bar.
It is. Before they would maybe offer a certificate of completion, and the state wants students with IEPs to have a diploma, and we do too. So now they look at the student's plan early on to make sure they get all those classes before graduation.
So that's a state?
Yes, that was added through IASB.
So if the bar is too high, they just don't graduate?
Right now, I know I talked to Matt Tweet about a week ago, and I know at West High, it looks like all the students are on track with that 4-3-3 to get the diploma. I can follow up with East High School, but they've been working really hard to make sure they get those classes and meet that requirement.
So we have classes that would be appropriate?
Yes.
I mean, that's kind of what we're saying, right?
If you look in the program of studies, anything that has that S in the SCED code for specialized or special education, we have the equivalent courses for that pathway too. So English 1, 2, 3, 4, you would get all 4 years. Same with those other subjects, social studies, science, and math.
So these 3 years of math, 3 years of so, these are separate for the IEP students, or is it randomly assigned?
It could be. It depends on the student, right? I mean, a lot of the students are still sitting side by side, and then they have a co-teacher in a regular algebra or geometry class. So it just depends on the student and what the student needs. They might be taking some special ed classes. They might be taking some core classes and co-seated. with a regular classroom teacher and a special ed teacher. So it's going to be different for whatever that student's IEP needs are. But we have so many of our students who are co-seating in our regular classes.
How many students have IEPs?
I don't know, but I can find out from Megan and get that. Yes. Right. Well, good. Do you want to answer that, Sarah? Yes, there's different kinds of instruction for kids with IEPs. So it could be like a pull-out model, it could be a push-in model. So there's a lot of ways for kids to access those courses. But we can find out how many kids with IEPs we have at the high schools.
Some of them don't, go ahead.
I guess the other point here is that when you describe the models, no wonder we have a $4 million deficit in the special training. If we've got somebody sitting in a classroom beside a student that already has a teacher in that classroom, so I'm just questioning the
Well, that's
model
law.
we're using.
Well, that would be law too. I mean, this is more conversation probably for Megan Allen. She's the special ed director. And I can ask her about some of this. But yeah, we're getting into some special ed law. Yeah.
We went away from the policy review part of it.
Overall, here's what I will say about that part that we did add for special ed. It did raise the bar, but it raised the bar in the right way, where we're looking like thoughtfully at the kids as what they're taking and ensuring that they have a diploma when they graduate. And it looks like right now, there's a really strong special ed team at the high schools. Mike Tweed is instructional, we have instructional strats and we have coaches, and they're really looking at every single student and making sure they can get a diploma.
And do we still have quite a few IEP kids, well, depending on their situation, I guess, like at River Hills, they can go till they're 21. So
Yes, and that's in here. So you can see it does in the, look on the last page of the proposed, who does not meet requirements prior to school resuming in the fall and is not enrolled for the fall semester by October 1 will be counted as a dropout. Students will be encouraged to re-enroll at any point prior to the age of 21, earn credits toward graduation, and graduate with a later cohort. Yep.
So those kids, Lyle, like, that doesn't have to be accomplished in just
4 years.
Yeah.
Correct.
And that's all students have that option, not just students?
Yeah, they do.
Okay,
All students.
so I was right. Well, no, I thought it was
Ideally, we'd
20.
like it to be a 4-year path.
But better, longer, as long as it happens, so.
That's right. We have quite a few kids who, lots of obstacles, but they still finished and ended up with a Waterloo diploma.
I really look at the 5-year graduation rate more than the 4, and it's, I think, about 3 points higher.
Really?
It's significantly higher, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Particularly with the Career Center, if you could graduate and want to take these career courses for free, instead of graduating and going to a community college, a regular college, or 4-year college and take them, what's wrong with that?
Well, we can't. Senior year plus, if you can graduate with your 4-year cohort, you cannot then continue to take courses beyond those 4 years. So right now, if we have students who can finish and graduate with their 4-year cohort over the summer and get those credits, then that is really the first pathway for them. We wouldn't want to extend that just so that they have another year of obtaining those courses. And the concurrent courses, they cannot take if they could graduate in 4 years. So we don't want to push that model because it violates senior year plus.
Is
which
that our
means
policy, or?
it's the state policy. So if we want to offer concurrent classes to our students, which at the Career Center, 50 of them are concurrent, if students can finish up over the summer before that October 1st, and they have a path to finish those courses, they cannot extend it to access those concurrent courses.
That needs to be changed.
Well,
wrong.
that's state. state, Lyle, that's senior year plus.
What is it? Senior year plus, we talked about it in policy, and I didn't really ask what exactly.
And I'll share it with all of you. You can have a
Okay.
digital copy. Senior year plus is what we have to follow to offer any of our college courses in public schools. So it's a document through the Department of Ed, and that's why that second alternative measures was written. That comes out of senior year plus for kids who aren't proficient on ISAS to access the liberal arts courses. Senior year plus allows us to have alternative measures, so students can show evidence of proficiency beyond just ISAS. And that also comes out of senior year plus, and that's if we are getting paid supplemental weighting to recover the cost of concurrent classes and UNI classes, PSEO. We do have to follow senior plus guidance. We have to follow that. That's what our responsibility is. And then kids have to follow Hawkeye's requirements. So it's a two-part partnership when you embark in offering college classes to high school students. Yep.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
If anybody needs that information about the 5-year plan, just reach out to Sharice, and she can get that to you.
I'll send it to the board anyway. I think it's important
Okay.
for the board to know senior year plus guidance.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
Thank you. We want to make sure we're giving the right information out.
Yes.
So any more questions, comments?
It's interesting, I mean, just one, military credit, it talks about the 1 AP credit for each semester in
Yes.
JROTC.
Yes.
I've not seen that show up on transcript yet, though. How's that working out?
That was just added.
Okay, so that is new.
Yeah, we'll hand transcribe those. Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yep,
that's new.
that is new. That was also added this year.
Any more questions? So, oh, yeah, I done skipped already to the second reading on the next one. I was ready to go. So that was the first reading for information only. Thank you for Sharice for being here and giving us explanation, so.
And staying forever.
Thank you, board. I'm not going anywhere.
And that was just,
Yeah, my
that was
kids
the
are all
first,
gonna be in college. I need to work.
yeah, that was the first reading, so no action on that. That brings us to the next item. Item 15, board policy changes, second reading. It is the superintendent's recommendation that the Board of Education approve the following policy. Approval process for change orders. And I know we talked about this at our last meeting, just the approval process. If there are any more questions, Pam can probably explain it better than anybody. But I know we talked about the change orders of less than 25,000 and more than 25,000 and the change in the verbiage. Do we have any questions on that? Oh, can I get a motion to put it on the table?
Second.
Figured it was you two.
Like to move things along.
Yeah. All those in favor of approving the superintendent's recommendation, state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye, motion carried. And that ends our action items for the evening. And now on to the superintendent's report.
Okay, 2 quick updates here. So next Tuesday is our transportation work session. We have been working like crazy to get data for you to kind of just show you some options in terms of possible cost savings. We've been talking to other districts to see how they handle transportation. We got some of that data to share with you. We're getting some internal data on what some possible options could be to maybe be more efficient with routes. So we're excited for that information to bring that to you next Tuesday at 4 p.m. The second thing is we're really digging into some data here, looking at there's a lot of questions in terms of our achievement data these last few years. And as we've started to really dig in and done some apples to apples comparisons with other low income districts, our data is incredible. In terms of where we've been pre-COVID versus now, we've seen growth in math, language arts, and science, whereas most districts like us have not seen improvement. So we're super excited to share that, and we're preparing for that information to be shared at the Foundation Breakfast on May 1st. So just some really exciting data that as we're peeling back the layers of our data and really making sure that we do some close comparisons to other comparable districts like ours, just seeing some great growth. So excited to share that.
Thank you, Dr. Smith. And now on to board comments. Tonight, we will start with I'm trying to look at my list. Director Knight.
All right, well, I'm going to share one item here. I took a recent visit to Pointer Elementary, and I just happened to end up there on a day when they had a mobile agricultural learning program going on there, Seed Survivor by Nutrien. And I don't know how they got connected with this. Then I've talked to the gentlemen there. They have two people there at a time. Two people bring this truck around, this interactive truck, and one is always scouting ahead to the next site. So this is the kind of first time we're getting into Iowa, and they had a few other areas in the state they were going, but it was pretty amazing. They had some interactive stuff in the gym for the kids, running out plants and how all the nutrients grow and different crop things, but then also digital activities inside of the mobile unit and other hands-on stuff. I mean, and the kids got a rotation through there, and it was just pretty amazing to watch the kids really engaged on this at the elementary level, with agriculture and learning there. So I don't, he's like I said, they come out of, it sounded like Canada, Calgary, I think. So it's something newer. They have like five of these mobile units they bring around to the different places. So I would really encourage, if we can get, more elementary to get a slot on this, because they only had one day there and they were going somewhere else. It's like, it'd be nice to, have it, a week here, and then, if we couldn't get to every building, like, be able to split the building somehow and bring kids from other buildings to experience it. But it was really neat. I thought the kids were really engaged, and it really taught a lot of, agriculture and science and all how that works. So, that was just really a very chance visit, and I think it very well aligns with some of our ag program at the WCC as well. So, build some interest there at a young age, and then kind of grow that through, no pun intended. So.
All right, thank you, Director Knight. Director Mills.
I'll keep it short. There's just a lot of hard things happening right now, and I appreciate the hard work that's gone into making those decisions, but it doesn't lessen how it feels for everybody involved. So I just want to acknowledge that is definitely something that weighs heavy in my heart and my mind. And then also, he took off. My husband was here, but I wanted to thank him. It's my birthday, and he brought flowers, so it's just very sweet. So that's all.
Todd knows what he's doing. Right. Thank you, Director Mills. Director Ewing.
As we listen to the presentations tonight from the two elementary schools, my mind gets blown every time, even though I was in the classroom for 7 years, thinking about what is required of teachers, thinking about the Lowell teachers talking about how they form relationships all day, and any civilian who's not been involved with teaching or education would never put that on the list of what is required of a teacher. The list of what is required of a teacher to make this work and to help our district and to promote our district and to get our test scores up and to get our graduation rates up is so much that is not recognized by most people in the public. And I saw a little video on Facebook the other day about, a teacher having a good day and leaving on the high, and it's Mary Poppins, floating away on her umbrella, and then you see the words parent complaint, and it just blows up. That one parent complaint can ruin a whole day, and parents do need to be involved and tell teachers what they think, but And for our baby teachers, it's just so hard to learn to gird your loins, to learn to give, but to learn to be emotionally closed off enough to not let those things hurt so much. So again, I want to thank all the teachers and all the paras and everybody that's involved with kids and everybody that does the emotional work that's not on the list of things that you do. Thank you very much.
Yeah, well said. Thank you, Director Ewing. Director Schmidt.
Just 3 quick items tonight. One, I'm just following up on Janelle's comment, and several of you during the presentation. The personal relationships, it's the most basic of all enablers. And it was great to see what the system they have for providing that. Second, just the neat thing, it's kind of sounds to me like bringing life labs to kids instead of taking them out. So that I hope that gets followed up on. And last, I don't know if you saw a chance to Mr. Donovan Oberhu, is it the East High art teacher? I don't know if you got a chance to open that branding proposal, but I think it was done by the kids. It's an A+. I mean, it's really well done and well researched. So, big A+ to them.
Thank you, Director Schmidt. I just have a couple of things. One, following or piggybacking off of what Director Ewing said, those presentations, I know we get an opportunity to see and hear the different things that are going on in the buildings, and they're all different, but I'm always impressed by what the different buildings are doing to support the students, to support the staff, to support the families, and just, you assume that that's happening, but to hear it and be able to see it, and then the students participating, getting that visual and that actual feel, that effect, means a little bit more than just assuming what goes on in the building. So having the opportunity to see them present, it makes some of the things that we go through sitting in these seats just a little bit better. It eases some of the tough decisions that we have to make. So it always brightens my day to see that. I always say that. People ask me, what do I like? Do I like being on the board, or what's the best part about being on the board? I'm like, I don't even know if there's anything to like, but celebrations is it. Celebrations is it. I don't like politics or any of that. So, so I appreciate the building leaders and whose ever idea was to bring them to us, because I know we don't always are able to get out in the building and see these things in action. So to be able to sit up here and see what's going on in the building and see those students on a bi-weekly basis is amazing. I want to thank all the individuals that came and spoke to the board this evening as usual. We're trying. Nothing's perfect, and I've never confessed to being perfect. I've never confessed to knowing it all. I don't. Matter of fact, I lean on these individuals beside me that probably have a little bit more education than I have, and bring different aspects of their experiences to this board. We're all individuals, but I think we bring unique we bring unique attributes, especially this gentleman to my left. And we lean on him a lot. That knowledge and that longevity means a lot. So I'm gonna give you your flowers as Ty brought Stacy some flowers the day for her birthday. I'll give you your flowers now. Just all the work that you put in, not discounting anybody else, but I'm very appreciative, for that and what you do for all of us. You keep us on our toes, even though you ask a lot of questions and take up a lot of time, but it's well worth it. And I think the district is in a better place because you're so intentional and so detail oriented. So I do want to mention a few dates. Oh, to the young man, I did say the students that presented and the schools with Lowell and Kittrell, but the young man, Mr. Dillett, Mr. Dillett, Bobby Dillett, who will be going to Orlando, Florida, for that competition. That's what a product of Waterloo Schools should look like. Everything that he embodied, and I know that's not everyone's path. Everybody is different, but just seeing the confidence, just seeing the career pathway and the plan that he already has in place, that's what our mission statement says. That's what the intent for, the as Janelle always say, the educators and the people that are on the ground level in the buildings. Hopefully that's what they're in the building and they're in those roles to see come out. That's a almost finished product, but it's way more polished than I was at 17 or 18, and I'm sure most of us. So kudos to that gentleman, and good luck in Orlando, Florida, as you go to that competition. I'll mention a few dates. So on this Friday, April 18th, all offices and buildings will be closed. The next time we'll be in this room will be on April 28th at 5 p.m. for our regularly scheduled board meeting. On May 1st, the Waterloo Schools Foundation will host their annual Sparking Academic Excellence Breakfast at the Waterloo Convention Center. Doors open at 6:45. Program and breakfast starts at 7 a.m. I got the flyer in the mail. They have a dynamic lineup of former Waterloo Community Schools district students. That'll be amazing, telling their stories, and they're all doing well in their careers and in the community as well. So that's all I have for the evening. Is there anything else for any board members? Oh, you're ready, Jesse. So seeing none others, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
It just hurts your heart.
Head restraint.
Right. So all those in favor of adjourning, state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye. We're adjourned. Thank you.